We're going live. And yeah, we're back. With excuse us all. We had some sort of technical issue that ended our broadcast, but nonetheless, we're back at it, and we are going to continue right along with the conversation about Sierra and Russell Wilson. Okay, so
Right.
yeah, we're gonna get that information up in just a minute so we can see about these picks that we was discussing.
Right, because it sure was a lot being discussed in regards to it. And I couldn't do nothing but laugh because normally, I've been learning a little bit about, and I've even joked with you guys about, well, I'm going to think about what I'm putting on because I don't want to, be a piece of steak out there. And
Yeah,
so when I seen the outfit, though, the thing that had me the most blown away was that he was right there with her. So I was just like, okay, he must not have a problem with it.
no,
But
he had a serious problem with
One
it.
Savon got of his face says it all.
Yeah.
There is no question about the look on his face.
But he would have just added to his embarrassment if he would have added to his embarrassment by trying to
So it says
say something about that.
it
You know,
says Sierra addressed the negative backlash her naked dress received. Why did it make people so mad? Sierra clapped back at critics who slammed her dress choice at the Vanity Fair Oscar party. The 37-year-old rocked a thong-bearing, low-back, crystal stud sheer gown designed by Peter Dundas. Once pictures of the barely there dress hit the internet, social media users wasted no time sharing their thoughts on the allegedly immodest outfit choice, which some found especially offensive due to her being a wife and mother. The shaming was noted as misogynistic by culture writer Tiwa A. Bebop Yo, partly because it tied Sierra's worth to her role as a wife. Even while her husband, Russell Wilson, a Denver Broncos quarterback who accompanied her to the festivities, took pictures with her on the red carpet, it was also unfair. Models Emily Ratajkowski and Alessandro Ambrosio, as well as actress Hunter Schafer, all wore similarly revealing dresses, but their wardrobe pickings did not seem to cause the same upset.
so here we have a picture of the dress. And
I don't know,
yes.
man. I just think it's a lot, and it to me it don't matter what other model did it. I don't know who them people is
Does
because
it matter that she was with her husband to you? Do you feel like, I mean,
that's
he
makes it
must have
even
okayed
more.
it. He must have okayed it though.
No, he didn't.
Well, now you're saying you're a misogynist if you label a wife and a mother a mother.
But see, here's the thing about that. That's a term that's being regurgitated by people who don't even understand that it literally means the hatred or contempt for women. So if me holding you accountable or holding you to a certain standard as a woman equates to hate and contempt in your mind, you're either retarded or you're just refusing to take accountability for your position. There's
Right.
nothing misogynistic about that at all.
Right, because I think women had something to say and men had something to say about
Yeah.
the actual outfit. Because there were other women who were saying, she's a mother, she's a mother. As a mother, my kids have seen me butthole naked getting dressed before. So I mean, but for their friends to see me getting butthole naked, that's a
See,
whole
that's
nother
the thing.
story.
It's not about them seeing you, it's about the world seeing you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. Did you have the picture of Russell
Oh,
Wilson?
it's coming. It's coming. Give me a
Because
second.
I
I didn't know we
because
was
that's
getting
my
on this.
biggest thing
Oh.
is like I still believe like he was like I think you look great, honey, and but
Shit.
and
So we'll go ahead.
if I was gonna say even if I had her shape, I wouldn't do it. That's just me. I wouldn't do that. Married or single, I still
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is taken from him standing right next to her. He don't look like he's okay with any of that to me.
He looks a little uncomfortable, but that's like a still photo. Like I'd have to see a picture of him and her holding hands or something. Like
Oh,
how
no. I cropped this out. This is literally him standing next to her while she's smiling big as day. You understand what I'm saying? And this was the look he had. He didn't look like he was okay with it.
Yeah, he doesn't look okay in that picture.
He's somebody that smiles in a ton of his pictures. He smiles big and bright in the pictures that are associated with his NFL shit. So why he didn't have that kind of smile right there?
So here goes the other women's dresses. You guys want to see those?
Yeah.
All right. So these are the other women's dresses.
Wow.
And it just, and this is the thing.
Well, I mean, look, here's the point. If I say, yeah, pussy, I want to fuck, look at her fucking titties. If I, you get what I'm saying? It's a problem if I say all that shit. So how can it not mean something if you wear something like that?
Right.
If it's a problem for a motherfucker to speak on it, it's got to be a problem to put it on.
Well, because it comes down to this, people will say that, oh, men are in society objectify women. To me, it looks like they're objectifying themselves when you look at these dresses, that we are sexualizing women. But to me, it looks like they're sexualizing themselves,
Like I said, if you was to say, oh man, look at the way her pussy look in that dress.
You'd be a pig and an animal. Yeah.
Right. I get what you're saying on that.
How would I be able to say that if she didn't have it on?
Yeah.
You would be vulgar for saying that. Absolutely.
Said,
in the
how
world,
would I be able to say it if it wasn't on in the first place for me to see it?
Right.
That's a good point. This second one, I think it's equivalent to what Ciara had on.
Definitely.
The one that's second from the left.
And Drosso or whatever.
So
and the thing about it is the dress was a pretty dress. There's a way that she could have worn like a bodysuit that had the low back too, without her cheeks. So because the fact that she had a thong on too was just like, so you're just front and back with it. And some people argued that it's high fashion. And so if it's high fashion, this is what high fashion looks like. Well, high fashion at the Oscars party. Exactly. I don't know. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. Because
if high fashion has to be scantily clad, then I don't see how those two blend. Because we've heard the term, oh, she's scantily clad. Suddenly that turned into high fashion. When?
That's
bullshit,
that's
Yeah.
And I always thought that these were the type of parties where women would dress in these beautiful gowns, that look real pretty with a lot of beading and different things. And so I know they're expensive. To me, that's not something that I would want to wear, even if I had her shape. I don't need to wear that.
Right. No, I get it. And I think that's the thing that, where people, where you said, how come the other people didn't get backlash? We don't know that they didn't. From their community. You understand what I'm saying? We don't know that they did. Yeah, because I couldn't tell you who any of them women are.
Well, the one you said looked most like her, she's very, very famous. So
that don't mean nothing.
I'm just saying she's extremely famous though. Like
for what? Who is she? A model?
She's a model.
Model equates to you ain't on my radar. I don't look at fashion magazines. There's no way I would ever know who that woman is.
Right.
You famous to people who care about modeling. You see what I mean? That's like a model ain't never gonna be famous to me until her work translates into something that's related to everyday life. But like tapping into you're off my radar.
No matter if you're a model or not, you still shouldn't. She shouldn't have been dressed like that. She shouldn't have been dressed like that. And that's it. And that's all.
She can do whatever she wants. I ain't even gonna say she shouldn't have did it, but there is no clap back. If you bold enough to do something, be bold enough to embrace what comes with it.
Because there was a video that she did where she was dancing around in like garbage bags, where she was all covered up, everything, and that was her. And it's like she didn't understand why people had so much to say and were so shocked and appalled. And it's like, you knew when you put that on people were gonna have a lot to say.
Right.
So that was just something I wanted to bring up in the current affairs. I had seen that, and then I had seen the Diddy story. A lot of other newsworthy stuff going on out there, but I think this kind of leads a little bit into our topic somewhat, because when we think about relationships, so our topic today is poly. Is it for you?
And it would have been right for Russell Simmons to be like, you know what? Because you like to show your ass,
Right.
I'm taking chick number 2 with me tonight, because I know she's not gonna show everybody what we working with out here. You
Since
know,
you're showing
it's
everybody,
nice to
we
have
might
an
as well be in
alternative.
that type of relationship, right? If we're showing everybody, we already in that type of relationship.
Basically, you know, you giving people a view that they ain't supposed to have.
She don't want to admit that. So
No.
if you was to go to her comments on her Instagram where she posted that, niggas is gonna be posting eggplant emojis and wet water emojis and all that. And as a husband, you're supposed to be okay with other niggas posting shit about putting their dick in your wife.
Yeah,
Right.
that's uncalled for.
Because that's basically what it boils down to. You know, this is what you done brought into play. This is what we're looking at now.
Yeah. So when we talk about poly, that's our topic for today. Poly, is it right for you? We need to go a little bit into the several different definitions of what it means to be in a poly relationship. I like when you guys brought up poly meaning many, amorous or polyamorous meaning many amours. Is that
Yeah, many loves, basically.
many loves? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and I didn't really put that 2 and 2 together. I guess I hadn't thought deep enough into it until we started to research for this show. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, oh, I guess that makes sense, you know. But even with that being said, I think there's still a little bit more thought to go into that, because some people will tell you that polyamorous is not a polygamous or polygynous relationship. But to me, I think that would say that love doesn't exist in any of the other categories, to say that it's not polyamorous if it's polygamous. You see what I mean? So
let's break down.
The reason why they're saying that is because polygamous is just like the term misogyny. It's viewed as 100% negative.
Well, and again, comes down to a misunderstanding, because that's what, you know, as we get into this, I'll be able to clear that up. So they have this stuff that they're talking about, these nesting partners and the triads, throuple. I don't even know what a V is. Let me look at this one. A polyamorous relationship between 3 people where 2 people are dating one person and not each other.
There's different kinds. There's the garden party. There was the trip, the solo, single, relationship.
And that's what I meant when I said I think people go off the deep end. It's like, okay, we know that can be categorized as a poly relationship, but I think people are just saying, hey, this is what we're doing, let's call it poly, because there's got to be some bracket to it. It's not a boundaryless lifestyle. You see what I mean?
Right. Well, I was wondering, so swingers are poly. Is being a swinger the same thing? Because I heard this word swingers for years. I've heard that since way back in the day. I've heard the word swinger, and I always thought swingers were couples who invited other people into their relationships or into their bedrooms. I guess the difference in that is that they don't stick around. They just like they bring people into their bedroom. It's not an actual relationship with a swinger.
I think that's probably accurate. You know, swingers are it's more centered around sex than it is a relationship, even though it may be a couple that invites somebody in or invites in another couple. That invitation expires the next day until the next invitation. You know what I mean? So I think that would be a little bit different in regards to that, because it's more or less about sex on that one.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things I liked about reading about being in a poly relationship was that it's agreed upon by everybody involved. It is open communication from out the gate, a form of honesty that we don't see in some other just relationships with men and women. So the fact that they are talking about it, that they are honest about what's going on, I think that's huge. That's to be applauded to me on that part.
Yeah, and I think that's that's the part that I would say as well. But my thing is this: in a world of dishonest people, suddenly becoming poly doesn't really make people honest. I think that's more theoretic than it is realistic. Because I don't think, oh, we're poly, we're incapable of telling lies and being deceptive.
No, not incapable of telling lies, but they're being honest in their relationships. Because a lot of people aren't honest in their relationship.
Theoretically, that's what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah,
I don't know that that's actually happening because we can't remove the people factor. Where there's people, there's dishonesty.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So,
but that goes without saying. But if you're sticking to the script, that's how we got to look at it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be an honest agreement amongst people that they are okay with having other people in the being in relationship with other people.
And that's why, to me, I think viewing it as a, from a relationship standpoint versus, how we're talking about the swingers just running around this and that, viewing it from a relationship standpoint, it makes it a little easier for me to respect it, because then there's other factors that come into play, whether it be the ability to provide for children, group economics, all under the same roof. There are definitely some benefits to doing it if it's under a relationship setting,
Group economics is huge. The more people in the relationship, more money in the relationship, right? Or more money in the household, more money to the family, more money to the children. So, but I think it would be confusing for children.
That's all they see.
I was about to say it wouldn't be if it was the only thing they ever knew.
That's true, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. We got a comment. We'll tap on this right quick. It says poly is committed relationships of all different kinds, where all involved are aware of each dynamic and the individual dynamics vary. That community has very high expectations for honesty. Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're open. They say that they have to be open from the beginning. They take they take it very seriously, and they give each other their boundaries from the beginning. Poly is a committed relationship. But now it was a trip to me how they had all these different names for different stuff and how they got the names for all this different shit. That was a trip to me.
So let's unpack some of that. And we're gonna base it on what we see up here that's able to, so that way the viewers can go along with what we're talking about. So when we look at this triad or a throuple, you got the three people and it's a woman and two men. The same thing for the V, a woman and two men. Then we get into a little bit more of a unpacking it, polyandrous. So this is when a woman is in a polyamorous relationship with more than one man, meaning that.
Sorry, y'all.
Meaning that okay, so it's a woman with more than one man, meaning that she plays, I guess, the head role and has these two men that fall under her. This is what I would imagine, because I don't see how else that would be a workable situation. Then the polygynist, which is the one that really, when we hear people talk about polygamy, this is really what they're talking about: a man and two women, which is it's in a relationship setting though.
It
You
says
know,
more than
it's
one.
not a free.
It says more than one woman, not two.
Okay. So the point being that it's in a relationship setting, and that it's not some freelance kind of thing. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the reason why the whole poly thing gets a bad rap, because people see it as, oh, this man just wants to sleep with a bunch of women. And typically that's not the case. You know, it could be with somebody who's running under the poly tag, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what they're all doing. And I think just like anybody else, we got to give everybody a fair shot. If it's working for them, who the hell are we to judge that? You know?
I mean, it's a lot to
I
unpack.
can't speak for women, but I just know women look at it's like they place ownership way more than men do, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So for a woman, they're like, oh, he's got this other woman, and they're thinking that his feelings are can't necessarily be separated and split into two or three ways or four ways. But in actuality, for men, it is very possible for us to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be like, okay, this one has the best vagina, so I'm going to treat her different than I treat the other three based on the quality of her sex. We're not like that. She could, you know what I'm saying? Like that, everybody's still going to get a fair shake no matter what's going on, no matter what body shape, no matter how tall they are, or what color their eyes are, what their looks are like, rated 1 to 10. None of that. For men, it's different. You know what I'm saying? We're not tripping off of all that other shit.
I just think it would be difficult for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, to be in a relationship where one night my boyfriend, husband, whoever decides, oh, I'm going out with her tonight, and you sit in and babysit the kids. It just would be uncomfortable for me. That's not something. So maybe that is a form of jealousy, or just wanting to be a one-woman man, or a man's only woman. That for me, it's not okay. But I think that it takes a special kind of person to be able to say, oh, I'm going to wait my turn. I even see it when I'm looking at some of these shows where they're dating shows. And I just don't understand how you could be on a dating show and there's like all these different people on there. And 1 second he's taking her out. Oh, you get a rose and you don't get a rose. And it just, I don't see how that balances out for me. So and that's just me.
So if it's your turn to go out the door with the dude and she's sitting there with the kids, do you have that same exact feelings?
Yeah, because I mean, I just don't, me personally, I don't want to be in a relationship where I share my partner. Like I said, I think it's amicable that they are not, it's to be admired that they're so honest, but that's an honesty I just don't choose for me personally. But I am hearing a lot more about it. It's out there. It's happening.
So what if what if that's one of the things that's a barrier to the success of relationships in the society that we live in, because a man and I think this to be true, that men by nature are already polygamous. It's a part of how our code is written, in my opinion. And this is the reason why it's a struggle, or it feels unnatural for us to be with solely one woman. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what if the inability to have an open mindset toward that approach is the number one reason why relationships are failing? You know what I mean? Would it be safe to have, I mean, wouldn't it be wise to look at the alternatives?
Yeah, because you got to realize one man could have a baby with 100 different women at the same exact time.
That's true.
So why would it be that way if it was not meant for him to do that?
Mm-hmm.
He may be able to do that, but that's not how it's supposed to be meant to be, though.
Well, why would it be that way then?
Okay. And I think that's the part why, I don't know, how can I say this? It's almost like we have a mindset that's based on what we were taught to be comfortable with, you know what I mean? Versus just analyzing what the situation is. You know, like Dee said, why would a man be made with this sort of capability if he's never to put it to use?
Well, we
Especially
had
especially if we believe in God. Let's just throw that out there right away. Because God wouldn't have did it. He would have said, fuck it. You can't make multiple babies with multiple people. I'm going to make sure he doesn't be able to do that.
And some of the men from the Bible who were counted as upright people in the eyes of God practiced polygamy. They had multiple wives.
3,000, what was that, Solomon? 3,000 wives or something like that?
It was a total of, like, as far as the wives and concubines, and I guess a concubine is old school term for a side chick, you know, because some of them didn't actually have status.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we had touched on that subject once before in our family chat about in any other setting where the man is in a head, he has multiple partners. In any other mammals, any other animals, humans are the only ones.
Right.
That is true.
Right. You know, and I think that's something that's worthy of attention, you know, and I just really think that it's fair to be open to it, you know. We live in a society where people are embracing all kind of shit that it used to be like, oh hell no, we can't do that. So why not have the same why not have the same viewpoint toward this? You see what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Me personally, there's a lot of things that society is becoming to be more open in regards to, and it just doesn't fit something that I'm looking to do. I'm not knocking anybody who's trying it. It's just not something that I'm looking to do.
Well, because of how you feel, or because of how you think about it?
How I feel, how I think about it. It's just not something that I want to do. First of all, I'm having a hard enough time locking it in with one person. How am I trying to have a couple of people that I got to get along with and know what their likes and dislikes? I just, for me, it's not something that I want to try to do.
No, I hear you on that. I just was trying to get some background on why you feel that way. But I mean, maybe that's something that could come out later in the conversation. What are the origins of poly? Is it biblical? I can't say that for sure. That's the way I look at it. That, you know, that's how I was introduced into society, was probably through religion, because you see it throughout the religions. So I think that's it's safe to say that.
Well, I'm gonna say this: if it's a man with multiple women, he's a Mac. If it's a woman with multiple men, she's a slut.
And here's the reason why. If a key can open a multitude of locks, then it's a master key. But if a lock can be opened by a multitude of keys, it's just a shitty lock. We are not the same.
Okay. We're not the same. So it's good for a man, but it's not good for a woman. Is what you're trying to say?
I mean, say it again. Say the analogy one more time.
If a key can open a multitude of locks, then it is a master key. But if a lock can be opened by a multitude of keys, it's a shitty lock. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we're simply not the same. And I know it don't sound like what you want to hear.
No shit that I want to hear. Exactly.
But it's the reality. There's double standards in the world we live in. And as men, we got to embrace the double standards that apply to us. So,
right.
You know, jump in line. That's what we do.
Yep, we always got to deal with a double standard as men.
And the thing is, I think a lot of men interested in this because, as you said, people are out there cheating anyway. They're out there doing other things in their relationships. And for me, I do know people who've cheated several times. And, some of my homegirls, men's cheat all the time. So in that factor, it's like, okay, he might as well just bring somebody home if every other week he's doing something with somebody else. You know what I mean? So, but
or get down to the root cause of it, especially if you ain't gonna leave, you're technically in a poly relationship, and this is the thing that always confuses me. It'd be like, okay, so you don't want to be in a poly relationship, but you ain't for the lead this dude neither. So and he finna keep you might as well bring all that under the same roof.
So I'm gonna keep 100. You guys know, because you know me. I clearly have been in a poly relationship. So basically, like I said, I don't want to. I know everybody gonna hate me as soon as I say that, and anybody who's viewing or whatever automatically, oh shit, he's the bad guy. But anyway, it's like I was saying, it ain't. Nobody is above nobody, for one. That's all. It ain't no. It looks and sexual prowess and all that shit don't come into play. You know what I'm saying? It's a unit in one. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm different than everybody else, but I don't give a fuck about all that emotional bullshit. It's about the situation at hand. We all can get along. We all can go out to the park at the same time. You bring your kids or whatever, and we can all go out to the parks, go out to eat, movies, do all that shit together.
I mean, and I applaud that. And like I said, that's one thing that's the number one thing I agree about in it, is that the openness of it, the ability for people to have the truth finally. Because we all are in search of the truth in our relationships. Nobody wants to be being lied to. So I think that that's great. If you can get that kind of understanding and everybody is getting what they need out of it, I'm not here to judge what works for people. So in fact, I don't think most people would say, oh, you're going to be the bad guy. I think most people are going to be like, he's my hero. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because even if we just look at, some of the comments, it's talking about that most relationships are poly in secret. So obviously, the secrecy part would mean that, you'd be getting applauded for doing it up front. Karmic Fruition says that poly is right for me. I haven't tried it, but I know it is. I wouldn't do it with multiple men, though, because I can't do more than one. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I think just by looking at the comments that it's something that people are already giving consideration to, and whether or not it's right for any of us obviously that's a personal decision, but it's cool to have an alternative, I guess.
So this goes back to what she said, what I posted before we just skip right over it. She wanted to know what were the origins of poly and is it biblical? It just says group marriage, formerly known as group marriage, has its roots in the free love movement of the late 1960s and 70s in California. The term polyfidelity was coined around 1971 by the Querista Commune, a hippie communal living arrangement in San Francisco.
So yeah, the concept clearly isn't a new one.
No, it's been around. It's been around, but I think it was frowned upon, for, like you said, because everybody's just used to what we know. We're used to how we grew up in a 2-parent home. But even the people who are growing up in 2-parent homes, there might have been some cheating going on in that home. So maybe it wasn't what we were seeing is what we're used to, but clearly there are other options that can be had.
And a man, but women ain't gonna understand this either. A man that has 2 or 3 women around him at all times, he ain't going for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He gonna be completely satiated. Believe that.
Well, I like the comment AJ Moore said. She said it's not poly if it's cheating or unconsensual, and I think that's so. It's not poly. That's not poly. We can agree on that poly, for the most part, is supposed to be an agreed upon situation where everybody knows what you're getting into. And I like the idea that it just would be better if men out here or women out here would just say out the gate, like, look, I enjoy spending time with you. You know, I rock with you. You're fun. I like you. I like going places with you. I like the food that you cook. I like sitting here watching movies with you. But I'm never going to be dedicated to only you. So maybe we could try, you know, bringing someone that we both like. You know, I just think it's a good. Somebody needs to be honest.
I agree.
I think for the fellas, it's easier than you think to do it. Simply, you throw the hook, line, and sinker in. And once you get the hook, line, and sinker in, they're probably going to agree rather than see you leave.
I think so.
I told you guys that a long time ago. I said, just tell her from the gate that she's not the only one.
That's if you come in that way. But if you're like,
Exactly.
if you're two single people at the beginning and you start messing around, and then you're like, okay, we've been messing around this long or whatever, this other chick all in my inbox or whatever, I think we need to bring her to the table.
Well, and here's the thing, and I think this is the part that the reason why I think that it should be viewed as an acceptable alternative. It's not a matter of
Still watching, just to let you guys know.
It's not a matter of, okay, I'm not going to be, you're never going to be the only one. Again, we talked about it being an agreement. So the way I see it anyway would be, you got a man and a woman who already have a foundational relationship.
Right.
And the agreement is that they agree to have an open slot for another partner. I don't think that it's like, hey, you just sit here and then I'm gonna run through who I run through while you sitting here. I don't think that's how it works. You know what I mean?
No.
And correct me if I'm
that's
wrong.
not. Yeah.
That's clear.
Yeah.
How it works.
Yeah.
But that's how women receive it, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the key things you said though is coming out the gate with it. I just think that if you lay the facts down from the beginning and just say this is what it is, or if it's agreed to in the middle of a relationship, hey, this is what it is, as long as it's communicated and agreed upon, then that's what makes it poly.
And men would agree to it, but it's kind of like with women, it's different because the way they rate men. So it would be a process of elimination for women. They could, every man wouldn't be able to have identical value in her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And,
Mm-hmm.
and women could disagree, but we know that shit is true.
But I think that's true either way. I think even though I agree with what you're saying about the way we rate women is different than the way that women rate men, but I still would say that there's not going to be equal or how you said identical value among the women from the man's eyes.
Well, you wouldn't have a one in the
he may be able to dispense that in a way that doesn't make them feel that they're being left out, but on the inside, that value is going to be it's different for each individual because you connect with people for different reasons. You know what I mean?
You do. So, but if somebody's picking up the slack, that's why you're able to overlook. You're like, okay, well, this isn't in this person, this isn't in that person, but I know by them being around this person long enough, she will adopt some of the traits that this other woman has. You know what I'm saying? And they'll become more alike in the long run.
Right.
And I guess it's gonna be what because you're gonna figure out what works for your unit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think about Hugh Hefner when I think about this, though. I just know how he had that show and he had the 3 girls on the show.
They hate Hugh Hefner. They want to die. They're so glad he's dead, just like Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, well, I mean, and everybody was mad, but if you look at it back then, he was already doing that. He had them all living in the same house. He was taking some out some days, some out there. So he was doing it. He already was doing that. He sat around in his smoker's jacket and just did his thing. He had it his way. But at the same time, everybody was living comfortable. Everybody was getting something out of it. And they knew when they moved in the house what it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big part right there. They knew what it was. So this right here says poly does not absolve you from relationship drama. You still have to choose wisely. Again, because that we can't remove the people factor. You're dealing with people, you're gonna have some sort of drama surrounding it, you know. But with that being said, there are some numbers that we can look at if we're looking at, you know, traditional relationships. Okay, so according to was it 2022, that approximately 40 to 50% of first marriages end in divorce, and the rate of the second marriage is even higher, with approximately 60 to 70% of second marriages ending in divorce. So when we talk about having to choose the right people, we understand that that's regardless if you're in a poly relationship or, for lack of a better term, a standard relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's going to be some issues, but I also think that highlights the need for an alternative. You understand what I'm saying?
Because those type of things obviously aren't going to happen in a poly situation. If one leaves, then one is gone. You know what I'm saying? And the show goes on with or without them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the same situation. So there's never going to be all three of us are gone, or all four of us are gone, or whatever. It's never really going to come down to that.
Right.
I hope covering this topic on the show, it does bring men and women to a decision, or not even a decision. It poses them to think about what would be acceptable to them in a relationship. And maybe if you know you're going to be a compulsive cheater, or it just may give you something to think about. So that's why I felt that this was a good topic, because we can save some divorces and unnecessary marriages if people really deep down know that you're not going to be committed. There are other options.
But you're still committed. You're still committed.
Well, I mean, you're committed to your group, is what I'm saying. But I'm saying, instead of being in just you and one other person, if you know you're not going to be able to stick to it, there are other options out there. And so by us bringing this to the forefront, they know that, hey, you don't got to do it. It's not as hard as you think it is, especially with the fact that there's more women in the world than there is men. And so men, for me, I think that if they know they don't want to be in a committed relationship with one woman, then they should just call themselves poly.
I agree with you on that. You know, that's the beginning of that honesty piece, saying that from the gate, you know.
Because some people aren't going to think twice at that. They're not going to bat an eye at that. They're going to be like, oh, all right, well, I'm with it.
Right. You know, if they see something of true value in that man, then, you know, I don't think that they would immediately just stiff arm him. So when we looking at relationships outside of marriage, just typical relationships, you know, it says that the average relationship length is 2 years, 9 months. So we're not even getting 3 years out of the average relationship. Okay. 70% of relationships fail in the first year, and only 2% of people marry their first love or high school sweetheart. So this is again the standard relationship, you know. Then when you look at
them last two was crazy.
Right. Then when you look at the poly results, it's saying out of the survey of 340 adults, that their relationships are lasting an average of 8 years.
That's what I'm
saying.
So
I think if done correctly, just looking at the numbers, that there's probably some way to get around some of the obstacles that are causing people to end their relationships a lot earlier in a standard relationship format.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense if you think about it. It really does.
I feel like it makes good financial sense in the world that we live in today. And again, that's not something I'm interested in, but I think it makes perfect financial sense to have multiple streams of income coming in from several different ways, from several different people. You're going to win. It's going to be a win.
Think about it. If it's for y'all, say it's for y'all, right? And the rent situation right now,
right?
Nothing. It's nothing at that point. The gas prices, any of these things that are extremely hard for us right now to do as one or two people,
it becomes less challenging.
It becomes less challenging off top.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You know?
that's what Benet says. For women, it becomes an emotional thing to share a man sexually, but the structure, the reason, and another woman joining the family for a business reason is easier to swallow than the sexual aspect of it.
Okay, so I think again that's an obstacle that exists in the mind because of, okay, I ain't gonna say it like that because that might be, I don't want to give the wrong idea.
Women are just so much different than men when it comes to this stuff.
Well, you're absolutely right though, and I think this is one of the things that's being missed. You know, they don't want to share their man sexually, they say. Okay, so maybe the part of that is that they haven't opened up themselves to their own sexuality. And what I mean by that is, I've said this before, jokingly as well as seriously, that women are typically borderline bisexual to begin with, because y'all have no problem walking around with each other, getting dressed in the same room. Ooh, girl, why your titties hang like that? Stuff that men would never do. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So I think it comes down to having a certain level of mental openness about that, you know. And I don't know. It's hard to speak to it from a man's perspective because this relates to y'all, but I just think that may be part of the issue that people have with it, you know.
So one of the other comments, I'll go ahead and read the one that you just put up there. There are also poly relationships that are not intimate. They may be romantic, but not sexual. There are all different levels and relationship interactions within a poly commitment. It's not always living together, sleeping together, etc. Can be an emotional if it works for them. Can just be emotional if it works for them.
Don't waste my motherfucking time. And I think that's probably more of a female standpoint on that, because that romantic emotional piece, that's never going to be on the forefront for a man. You know, that's cute and all. That's real nice and fluffy, but trust me, that ain't what we tripping on.
Right.
You know. So what's your take on that? I mean, is that something from a woman's perspective? How does that look to you if you were to size that up as a possible reality for you when looking at this comment right here?
Well, I'm a big person who believes that emotional cheating is cheating. So like if a person has a work friend, you know, the one that was one of our people back a couple shows ago and said, yeah, the work wife is going to bring you food and all this and stuff. So to me, there's forms of emotional cheating. So again, that wouldn't work for me. In a poly relationship wouldn't work for me either. But I'm just saying, like, somebody who just wants to go, now you just want to go be romantic with someone else. You want to be emotional and go tell her everything you feel. Like, no, I don't. For me, that doesn't work.
But what if it's a situation where your mate doesn't necessarily do well to bring out your openness, you know, because like, okay, how do women say it? They want men to be emotionally available, okay? Meaning they want you to be able to open up to them about things that you typically wouldn't talk to them about. So what if that's not happening in the house, under the roof? You know what I mean? But this particular workmate is able to tap into that side of the man. Is he wrong, or is it that his woman needs to figure out how to address him in a way to bring that out? Where's the adjustment that really needs to be made? Is it on his part or on hers?
Anything in a relationship, there's got to be an adjustment on both parts. You know what I mean? Like there might be, she might have to loosen up and help you to loosen up in sexual ways. So there might be adjustments.
No, I'm talking about on the
emotional level,
the emotional level, the expression of emotional things. On that particular thing, who needs to make the adjustment? Would it be him or her? If he's demonstrating that he has he's capable of doing this, but when she drops the bucket down into the well, she's not going deep enough to pull out those waters. Who makes the adjustment, him or her?
He's gonna have to try to go deeper, is what you're saying? Dig deeper
Exactly.
to provide an atmosphere where he feels free to be his emotional or his self, his authentic self.
Because here's the thing. In the absence of women, there's only a certain level of emotional shit that men are ever going to talk about, discuss. It doesn't happen. The women bring that out. They have to be able to tap into that. So if you want it, come get it. And if you can't get it, did you really want it?
Well, that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is so much of a to each his own on this, because I know what works for me might not work for everybody, and everybody needs to find the partner and the situations that work best for them. Period.
I agree.
I think that's to be said of all sorts of relationships, you know, and
all of them.
And so you guys have heard me say that I don't think there's supposed to be some formula to a relationship. So I can't really stand on that and then be like, oh yeah, Polly's full of shit. I got to have the same level of respect for that form of it as well. You know, if this was somebody else thinks can work for them, then, you know, I got to respect that. Or even sit back and say, okay, how do I look at that? You know what I mean? What would it take for me to even align myself with that? Because it's a realistic option alternative. You know what I mean? To each his own.
That's the thing. We just went through some of those statistics, and you already see there's not certain things that happen in regular relationships, such as divorce and infidelity. Those things become less likely in a poly situation.
Yeah, according to the information, for sure. Okay.
We'll put this up.
So
Poly was introduced as a woman being able to pick women to make her life easier, like hiring a nanny or chef. It places her in a power position. She may not feel threatened by having other women in the situation. It gives it a royalty, wealthy structure. Yeah, but what about the mind of the women that come around knowing they're simply lesser?
I was about to say, I see that as being problematic because they're not going to feel like they're a integral part of the relationship. Right. They're just the hired help, so to speak, that the husband has sexual access to. They're not going to they're not going to feel like they're a part of what's going on, you know. And again, I don't know. The power position. Why is that necessary to have a power position? I don't know. That one right there kind of throws me for a loop. I don't see that. I see that as being problematic. I'll put it like that.
It's just the common woman nowadays. They want to control the relationship.
Secretly?
Yeah.
They behind the curtain with it.
Well, they say they want a man to lead and all that stuff, but she kind of wants to pull the strings at the same time.
Do you agree on that, sis?
I agree that all relationships are different. Some women may really want to pull the strings from behind the scenes. They say, "Oh, that's my man, and he's the leader," but they boss him around. There are a lot of relationships where women talk down to men and they boss them around, and then they expect him to be the leader. That's not going to work. So I don't necessarily disagree with his statement. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it like with a lot of the other statements, everything I feel like goes 50-50 down the middle. It could sway this way, it could sway that way, you know, a lot of this.
Well,
it's not what women are coming into the relationship for to contribute, or is it just sexual? It would never, and I think this is the part that for me, I think that this is a part of it that's being viewed improperly because men are viewed improperly.
Right.
Let's get it out there. Women get the better end of the stick when it comes to sex. We ain't tripping off it. Like, we're not going to go through all these hoops just for sex because it's easier to just tell you a lie and not have an open poly relationship. It's much easier to do it that way. And that's why so many men do that. Why the hell would we put ourselves through all of this when this is not the easier route? It's not about that.
So you're saying it's harder to be poly than it is to be in a normal relationship?
Absolutely, because now you have to command the respect of not just one woman, but 2, 3, or more. You're damn right that's harder. That's more challenging. You have to be really on your man.
One woman, all it would take is one woman of the group to come with some plot. And we already know women are together in mind. So once they can make that connection in mind, now the one that didn't respect you got all 3 of the other ones not to respect you.
I mean, and I guess that's true because I've heard pimps say, they had a hoe who came in and she tried to get the other ones to do sneaky shit. And so I've heard that scenario before.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the one rotten apple can spoil the whole bunch in that vibe,
Mm-hmm.
or why is he doing this? Why should we do this? And get everybody to be critical thinkers all of a sudden when the object of it all is to be unified.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if people ain't looking at it that way from the gate, it's probably not gonna go well, just like any other relationship wouldn't go well. If you're not having that viewpoint, you already got a problem, Yeah.
Yeah. And see, I don't know why it's the way it is. Like, women are jockeying for position with men as if we, like you were saying, like in a relationship, it's just set up to where a man has more to lose in the end. You know what I'm saying? So if you have kids, then the courts got him on the outside of everything. He's never gonna have access the way the mom would.
Mm-hmm.
If get divorced, he's and he's gonna have to come up and with alimony and child support payments.
Not necessarily though, and I think this is the thing that a lot of people are afraid to say. Fellas, young men, go on ahead and get a premarital arrangement. Nobody would tell you to jump in a car and drive across the country without insurance, but they're gonna tell you to commit to something that's a far longer journey with no insurance on it. Come on now.
A far longer journey with guaranteed bumps on the road.
Exactly. But you don't want to get no insurance for that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying generally, women are opposed to prenups because it takes away that power.
Right, exactly. Well, if it means that much
again, this is the only thing I have a problem with y'all on, because you guys always say, "Oh."
No, go ahead.
You guys,
some women.
Thank you.
But I think you gotta get over that because it's a generalization.
I get it. I get it. It's not I'm just saying, for me as a woman, I don't have a problem with a prenup, but I damn sure have a problem with a poly relationship, for the record, men who are out there listening.
So if we was to take a show of hands and get 100 women in a room and start a conversation by saying, we got the perfect man for you, ladies. He's got all the right money, everything.
Where? I'm saying.
Right. But raise your hand if you still want this man, even though he comes with a prenup and you can't get all this shit and fuck him over at the end.
Only a stupid woman would not want to be in that relationship because she has to sign a prenup. But excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the poly thing. This is the thing, and I think with a prenup and a poly, here we go again. A prenup is initiated prior to the marriage, right? You both are going to seek legal counsel to get it. In a poly relationship, it's mentioned coming out the gate that this is what it is. So again, everything goes towards what's honest, the honesty of the situation and being truthful about what it is you want. Yes, I want to marry you, but I need you to know if I back out of this tomorrow, I'm taking all my shit with me. That's a prenup. Coming into a relationship, if you're poly, you're going to be saying, well, I would like to have you join the harem or build one. It's just that simple.
Well, that's where it goes to communication is key in any relationship, whether it's business, sexual, friendship. Communication is key, and if you lay it down on the line from the gate, or you always talk about how you're feeling, then usually things don't have problems. Is when you hold stuff in and don't speak your mind on shit, that's when the problems arouse. Wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. But I think that's also easier said than done, because I don't think we live in a society where people practice openly speaking the truth.
Right. And again, I think that if you have thoughts of being in a poly relationship, but you're just dating one specific woman, right? I think that you have to tell her, look, right now it's just you.
Comment underneath that kind of covers that, if you look. Because she's saying basically that setting expectations, open communication, unflinching respect, and assign equal value to everyone's needs. That's what I was trying to say, that it's women, because I get it. With women, men don't have equal value. Some nigga gonna be the top dog, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's not necessarily like that with women, so to speak. One woman will be probably better at math than the other woman, or some of their attributes will be different. We get that. That's common sense. But I'm saying that, like, somebody just being considered the queen and everybody else is just her servants, that's not how men are looking at poly relationships.
Right. Well, she did cover it, because I think the key, let's pick it apart. Setting expectations and having an unflinching respect. Those are important. No matter what happens, you're not supposed to change your respect level for the person. And the open communication means you continue to talk about whatever it is that needs to be changed, whatever areas need to be revised. Talk about it. So setting that expectation, having that communication, and assigning equal value to everyone's needs. One person may need to have oral sex. One person may not need. Making sure everyone's needs are met in the relationship.
And it's natural for the competitiveness of each woman involved, if it's a man, or I think that it makes everybody be on their toes more.
Right. Benet just said, I'm saying each woman in the relationship has a role to play in the relationship. So it wouldn't be smart to choose women for wouldn't it be smart to choose women for specific reasons for the collective? This may decrease the drama because she brings value to the collective. And I think so. Again, it goes to just like what I just said about making sure assigning equal value to everyone's needs. I think that's key. Those are all key things.
Of course. I mean, that obviously that's but if you get too technical about it, it ain't gonna work.
And I think that's how I look at it too. Why would we be selecting people based on what they can contribute to the collective? So we're just going to overlook the person in general. We're only looking at their skill set and their abilities. You got to align right here first and foremost. That is of higher value than what you may be able to contribute in real time. Because again, you have the ability to learn we can figure out how to work all that in because if you're aligned right here, everything else is going to fall into play anyway.
Right.
So yeah,
That's
I
why
would never.
I said
Yeah,
you could have one woman that has a super high skill set financially, or she knows how to balance books and do this and all that. But you think that if you put her in brought two more women that probably didn't know shit about that, they would adopt her shit after a while.
or they might not at all. They might not at all.
Or they might excel at something else. But I'm just
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I look at it. I would rather have people excelling in multiple attributes versus trying to have everybody have some dominant role in I don't know, but yeah, that's just food for thought.
Definitely.
Yeah. Again, shout out to the chat. We appreciate everybody with the comments and the input. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's something that it depends on how people want to swing it and what their purpose is for it. Because to me, the only way that I can see it and make sense of it is if we're taking on life as a collective,
right?
And the only way you can take on life as a collective is if you're aligned mentally. You have to be on the same wavelength mentally first and foremost. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the only way it would even be a workable situation for me. Yeah.
So out of
if I was to look at this comment, like, I don't know, I'm a man, so it's different. Like, basically, if you was to go on a dating profile and you start talking to people on there, some of the first questions women ask are how much you make, what kind of job you got, these type of things. Those are like semi-business type questions. But on the flip side, most men don't even ask those type of questions.
I think when I look at this, I think that that's probably an accurate statement from a woman's standpoint.
From a woman's standpoint,
because it's not, oh, well, business and then love. Because men are like, you'll never get into my business if I don't love you.
Right.
Business ain't coming first. Like, who the hell are you to even have access to business?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, there is no business
cut a little different. There has to be some measure of affection and respect for you before you even get access to the business side of the conversation. So I just think that's more for the female perspective. We don't look at shit like that. Yeah.
So I think me and Deez has stated that that's something that he has at one point or another took an interest in or lived. Me, I've spoken out that no, that's not something I'm interested, but two other hosts. So is that something that you would consider now that we have done some research on and learned more about it?
It's been a reality for me, but it wasn't under the poly tag. But when you look at how things were laid out, that's what was happening. For me at the time, it was just like, this is the shit we do. I wasn't even tripping off of what to call it. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't be new for me. It's just the
issue. I'm just gonna tap out for a second.
Okay. For me, it wouldn't be a new set of circumstances. It'd just be a new understanding of all of this terminology.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I could say that, I guess, like Valley says, we've all been in that situation, but it wasn't under a polyamorous situation because you were seeing somebody else and seeing somebody else. But I wouldn't want to be in that type of relationship, knowing type of relationship. No, not me either.
Okay, and what's your reasons behind that?
Because I don't want to be sharing my partner with another person.
Okay, and what's your reasons for that though? Is it more of an emotional thing, or is it something that you feel you have in your mind, or is it just a feeling? I'm trying to, because I hear women say this, but I never really get a breakdown as to why they they see it that way. So I'm just
Because
trying
it's first of all, it's not natural. It's not clean. It's not clean. It's not right. I guess it goes back to the way of us being brought up. You're not supposed to have more than one mate.
okay.
I'm not going to say it's not clean. That's because I feel like in the knowledge of knowing who you guys are all sleeping with, it's clean because then you're handpicked. Your situation is designed, and so I'm not going to say it's not clean. For me, being in a relationship with someone who is a habitual cheater with random bitches, that's not clean because I don't know what the bitch at the strip club has. That, you know what I mean?
That's true.
I'm not going to say it's because of the clean part of it. I used to hear people say all the time, and hell, I've been around a few pimps before, but people say, "Oh, that nasty ass hoe." Well, hoes tend to carry condoms. You know what I mean? So yeah, she might have slept with 100 niggas, but she probably had condoms with her on her way. You know what I mean? So
hey, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
no, for real. So I'm just saying. So people look at hoes and prostitutes or hoes like, oh, she's dirty, but really, in all reality, that bitch is in the clinic. That bitch is making sure because her pussy's what's selling. Now, sorry for the vulgarities, everybody who's listening, but I'm just using that analogy that sometimes what our idea of who the clean women are or what clean looks like.
You can't tell. You don't know. Yeah, I feel you on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess to round it all out, I'm not closed off to it. I wouldn't get to the point of saying that this is what I want to do, but I do see that it has its share of benefits. But on the same token, especially based on the comments from some of the ladies, that it has its share of pitfalls as well. You know what I mean? I could just see things being problematic. So to just sign off on it, I don't know. But, I see the benefits of it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be some. There's got to be some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just to each his own.
Yeah, relationships are a trip, no matter whether it's in a group form and like in a poly relationship or in a regular relationship, just with a typical man and a woman. Mm-hmm. Relationships are hard. And so if any takeaways is for me, the biggest thing is the honesty part. Let's just all keep it real. And you always say this, Valerie, about being real with ourselves, so I think that when we're going into any kind of relationship, let's just be real with ourselves, who we are, what we got to offer, what we stand on, what it is we want, what we need to work on individually before you gather up, whether a poly relationship or any relationship. Work on self, know what self has to bring into the play, what you will and won't stand for.
Yeah, and sometimes being real with yourself means that you need to stay away from a relationship for some time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that doesn't get drilled enough in that keeping it real conversation, keeping it real with yourself conversation, because we want to believe that we're in good shape for that. But when we analyze ourselves, sometimes the answer is, nigga, no, you ain't.
No, right. No, that's real. That's real.
So
if you know you still got a lot of work to do on yourself, then you know that you're not necessarily a good candidate for most people in a relationship, because you're still working on you, and you got to find somebody who's going to be able to bring out the best in you or assist you while you work on you. Uplift you and empower you while you work on you. But the hardcore work has to be done by the individual.
Absolutely. Oh, wait. That's not the one I was looking at. Hold on.
This one.
Trying to pull that one up. Okay, there we go. Okay, in a poly relationship, it's not just men who get to have multiple relationships, and men have a hard time with that, I guess. Absolutely, because
it's different.
The way women respond to sex is completely different than how a man responds to it.
If this nigga back out better than everybody in the planet before, there's no way you're going to be looking at any other man after that takes place.
So are you saying that to say that a woman who steps in who's in a poly relationship and the partner agrees to allow her to have other partners, that she will be connected once she finds a better sexual partner. She's going to be more connected to that person. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that.
I'm saying that.
I'm saying part of the value system in that woman's mind is related to the sex. So by her, okay, so men, we're putting the flagpole in the soil, so to speak. We are doing the conquering. Okay, so for me, what man in his right mind says, yeah, this is my land, but I want to let other people come and put their flag in the soil so that when others fly over, they're not sure who it belongs to, because
The
it's
song
been
says,
conquered.
"This
It's
land
been
is your land.
conquered
This
by,
land is my land."
yeah, I just
This
don't see
land
the point
was
in that.
made for
You know
you
what I
and me.
mean? I don't
And
see,
men,
I don't see the point in that.
men are different. If a nigga, say for instance, somebody comes along and they can beat you in a fight for sure, they know this. So she picks somebody, he comes along, he's like, I don't like the position this nigga got. I'm gonna move this nigga out the way myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick a fight with this nigga and beat his ass and make him leave. And then I'm gonna take the bitch and all the shit he got.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different set of circumstances with men. It's more dangerous for us having other men around. Way more dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the good questions, she said, what if it's a separate relationship with a woman, but the man isn't involved? So how would you feel about that?
I feel the same way because I feel like women are playing a hard game of chess up top in a woman's mind. So she's going to be trying to do the same thing. That she's going to be trying to eliminate me somewhere along the line too.
I think it's just a matter of understanding our nature. You know what I mean? Like, it has been proven throughout human history that men of royalty, conquerors, can have a queen, concubines, whatever you want to call it, and they still stay the course with the women in the place that they have them in. We don't see that same thing in history when it comes to women.
Exactly.
Because it's frowned upon for a woman.
I'm not talking about it being frowned upon. I'm not talking about the feelings of it. I'm saying if a woman had free reign to do whatever she so chooses, where are the examples of those women carrying along men based on the agreement that has been put in place? We don't even see those sort of examples in the history of mankind. It just makes more sense to understand that, like I said, men are conquerors by nature, women are not. Men are leaders by nature, women are to be led by nature. So if a man says, okay, you can go have another man, then what he is saying is you can let him influence you with his guidance, his leadership, his mindset, his standards for life. That would be foolishness.
It would be.
Yeah, I just don't see the benefit in that.
Because at some point in time,
and that's what I mean when I say I think
of elimination is going to take place at some point in time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how men work. He's not gonna, if he knows that he can go out and cut the grass, why does he need this other nigga cutting the grass?
Right. So I want to go back to this because I don't want to ignore something that was mentioned earlier when we were talking about the business aspect. So she says, so help me understand. Men choose women that are willing to follow his plan, program, vision, and structure, as well as the sexual aspect, which turns emotionally, aka love for men. But is that not business? Building your legacy? Sure. However, what we're trying to say is we're not putting that sort of we're not putting those sort of brackets on it. You understand what I'm saying? Because for us, if we had all this shit in place, but we're no longer emotionally aligned with this woman because of whatever reasons, she doesn't have a level of femininity that draws out my masculinity, the importance of all this other shit falls by the wayside. And that's the difference between women. They will live in a loveless marriage for 50 years as long as they got all this other shit. That's the point I'm making. We're not built the same in that regard. We can get all this shit mentioned here from any woman we meet. Women might say, oh, I can only get this sort of structure from this man. It's so hard to find another one that's going to give me this. So even though there's no love, I got to take a business approach to it. We're not doing that because, like I said, we can find that somewhere else. And if we can't find it, we can teach it. We can instill it. That's what I mean about being the leaders and the conquerors versus women being on the flip side of that coin. It just, to me, doesn't make sense to say, yeah, go ahead and get all the stuff that I already provide from another man.
Or but one of the comments was for another woman. I mean, if
Well, she said,
if
what if
she's-
it's a separate relationship with a woman, but the man isn't involved? Like I
Right.
said, I know how those type of women feel about men. And there's no way I would allow somebody who doesn't respect men to have access to my queen.
Well, see, and this is the thing why I think it's important, because people are just throw shit out there and be like, yeah, it's poly. Where's the respect in that? I'm going to go have some shit that ain't got nothing to do with you. You don't know how I'm contributing into that other situation. You don't know what's being contributed to me from the other situation and whether or not I bring that back home. It's basically a secret. The only thing you know is that I'm doing it. What's the benefit in it? How does that benefit the prearranged agreement that we
Right.
already had? You know, I just don't
right,
see
because I
how
was gonna
that works.
say, because it says the man isn't involved, so how could that be poly if the poly relationships are all based off of an agreement amongst the unit?
Right. It's
Right.
basically,
And what man
the
is going
man
to
has
agree to not be involved?
it's basically two separate marriages. It's a marriage with a woman and a marriage with a man.
yeah.
That's basically what it is at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I wouldn't go for that.
Mm-hmm.
I see a woman as just as much of a threat as I see a man, because like I said, I know that the way you're being valued is being scrutinized. Like you got no room for error at that point.
I see the separatist mindset in that. I want to have separate shit from you. That automatically tells me that we ain't on the same page. Why do we got to have separate shit?
I'm not willing to share this woman with you.
we gotta have separate things, you know.
But all your shit is mine.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for the clarification. The term loveless relationship unlocked it for me. Men really just want to be loved and appreciate the full femininity of woman. That's simple. Right. And the other attributes that come out of that femininity, even though they're valued, they are of less importance than her living in her femininity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, and I go back to what I said. So let me make it clear. Let me put this back up here. Let me put this back up here right quick so everybody understands what I'm saying. Polygynous. That is the only form that I'm rooting for.
Okay.
Period.
And polygynous is when a man is in a polyamorous relationship with more than one woman.
It's the only way any of it makes sense to me. When you come outside, because it's basically like, okay, somebody invented a pizza. And although pizza was a great thing, you know, hey, I want to put these toppings on my pizza and I want to make my pizza like this. I want to make my pizza like this. I want to have all these broccoli and it ain't even pizza no more. That's some other shit that you do. That is not pizza anymore.
I can't stand these.
Sure, you made it like that's what it was, but you took something that already existed in a complete form with a history of effectiveness and you made it fit your own mind. That's not really, I'm sticking with the original. Okay. Because it don't matter if you're talking about King Solomon, King David, or whoever in man's history, polygynous is the only one that was being practiced.
And
Okay, so if it's a woman that has a harem of men, it could work. You don't think it could work?
How's it going to work when men are conquerors and leaders by nature? She's got a harem of sucker ass men. Like I said, if she had two men, if she had 200 men, she only has a half of man between all of them.
So why does the woman have? Why is the woman? If it's then the man and the woman's the sucker then.
No,
how when she's the
it's not
she's
the
the
same
follower,
role being
I mean,
played.
she has the
Don't
nature
you get
to
it,
be
sis?
read.
What they're saying?
I get it. I never would be in that knowingly want to be in that situation.
Okay, you think you're on point, right? And you're making a good point, right? And that you got us by the balls now. Okay, so look, the same reason why you guys are all the women are saying they wouldn't share their man sexually is why it won't work the other way.
Okay.
Run that again. I don't think I understood.
Women are basically saying they're not willing to share a man sexually with other women. That's like the hardest thing for women on the planet to wrap their head around. That's like the for sure thing amongst most women is that having somebody else be with their man is just an insurmountable thought process. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Well,
Even though they've all done it unknowingly and
Right.
sometimes have stuck around for years on end after, it's still an insurmountable obstacle.
Right.
I agree with you on that.
That is the reason why it won't work the other way, because all those men, like I said, the nigga who's blowing the back out the best, he's gonna be in the highest regard around that motherfucker. We not gonna sugarcoat shit.
I mean, and I wish there would just be more honesty about that, because you have to understand that we as men have experienced how it goes different with the woman who gets a certain level of
pleasure out of you.
Exactly. We see this. We know. So it's okay to just admit that.
He's not gonna be dick ripped by all 4 of these niggas.
Right, I get it.
He's not gonna be dick ripped by all 4 of these niggas.
Being dickmatized.
Yeah, she's not gonna be dickmatized by 4 different niggas.
Right.
And that's why it ain't gonna work.
Somebody gonna be number one, so you got to agree to who that's gonna be up front. Because if you're trying to do anything else now, and this is why I say, and it's just my opinion, I don't even see that as poly. I see that as individualism dressed up as poly. You're just doing what you want, and you're doing it under the license of poly.
There must be a lot of that going on then.
And they're looking at it like that from a business aspect. You already know that that's more important than love as well. So it's you know, if this nigga's rich and he doesn't fuck her good, she still can accept that because he's got money to pay for what he can't do a good in bed. Or this nigga over here, you know, you get what I'm saying? That's how they're putting it together in their mind is from that aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, as a man, we know that whatever attributes she don't have, we'll show her or try to lead her to that way. Or you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think I don't know. I just feel like rather than trying to figure out ways to make it work for the sexual benefit of man and woman, just understanding the natural dynamics of man and woman should automatically erase that. You know what I mean? Like, why would that be the goal when shifting the focus on the benefits of how it is set up according to history, and you've seen the effectiveness of it? Why would that not be the goal? You know, if a man of royalty had 5 women and he impregnated all 5 of those women 3 times, you understand what I'm saying? Look at his lineage, okay? And let's say out of those kids, 5 of them are young men that now become princes. That's his legacy being carried on. A woman cannot offer that same legacy building under one name and one bloodline with multiple men. So where's the benefit in that? Do you see what I mean?
That's what I said earlier. The fact
that, I mean, that was a very detailed
oh God.
point. No, that was a very detailed point. I mean, It makes sense on that aspect of carrying on the lineage, the one.
The power
being-
too, though.
Huh?
It's not just lineage; it's power.
Well, because it creates money. It creates
Not just
generational
that,
wealth.
it's an army if need be too.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't agree with that?
I just said I do.
If
That's
I could
what it
go out
sounded
and-
like. That's what it sounded like she was getting to. You know,
if I could go out and get 20 women pregnant, like he said, 3 different times, that's an army. That's a bunch of people to tend to the farm. That's a bunch of people to tend to any family business I create in the future. For anything I put out at that point can be properly tended to. It's enough hands on deck. Like he said, that can't happen the other way.
So when you were saying about that being a strong point that was made, how do you respond to that? Because I think that's where you were getting to. How would you respond to that? Does it alter your viewpoint? Not for you, but I'm just saying in general, does it have a bearing on your viewpoint?
It alters my viewpoint to the point. It doesn't alter my viewpoint. It gives me an understanding of yours. You know what I mean?
Okay,
like
that's fair.
It doesn't change where I'm at with it, but I have a better understanding of, because that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But does that also show you?
I can't disagree with logic.
Okay, right. But that also should show you the true power that men actually have. One man actually has.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of power.
Don't make me say it though. Men are powerful.
I think
men are very powerful, and they abuse their power.
We know that cheating is hard for women to stomach. We get that.
Okay, that's why I was about to ask, what form of abuse are we talking about when they're abusing their power? Because that's a broad statement.
They abuse their power because they know that they're the man, and so without a man, a woman she could pleasure herself or maybe have another woman pleasure, but it's nothing like having a man, and a man knows that that man is the man. He's the one that's
How is he abusing his power is what I'm asking you.
By exactly what I just said. He knows she's gonna always be trying to win his affection or make him be the one, but he knows that he ultimately has the control, and sometimes they abuse that.
Okay, I was trying to get to what form of abuse that you were talking about, because I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right.
But abuse of power could be he's whooping her ass, that he's starving her financially, even though he has the means. What kind of abuse of power are you talking about? That's what I was getting at. But no, I mean, I think it's safe to say that we know that some people abuse their power, you know.
Right.
But that doesn't take away from
trait, not a gender trait.
Right.
It is.
And that doesn't take away from the benefit of any particular arrangement that might be in place, you know. You know, bosses at jobs abuse their power and people still report to them.
That's true.
You know, so
that is so true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that we're able to talk about this kind of stuff, though, because other than this conversation, it's a word that I've heard, but I've never really engaged in a conversation with anyone to learn any more about it. So now I have more knowledge when I hear it, because I believe it to be more spoken of now than I ever can remember before. So it's out. It's definitely out there. People are changing their views. It's taking place, and some people are implementing that as a way of life. Period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Poly could become the new norm. It could happen.
Okay, so if it involves other women, there will be drama. In royal dynasties, some of the drama came from women wanting their son to be next in line for the crown. Men have to understand women have a power struggle amongst each other at times. I agree with that. And there, you know, there's going to be drama in any relationship.
Right.
So the one that yields the most benefit is more worthy of the drama that's going to exist in either one of them.
Right.
I still feel that's not enough to deter me, you know.
I love this nigga. It's real shit though. It's really fun. It's gonna be drama in both the motherfucking relationships.
Which one am I getting more out of?
Which one am I getting more out of?
The one that's giving out more is going to be better suited to ease the pain of drama. You know?
I get it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but I could see that though, and you know, I'm glad.
That is real. What she was saying though, people got executed. Other sons of
For real.
got killed,
Yeah.
backdoored by their own. Even Cleopatra, or not Cleopatra, King Tut. They saying that his sister killed him. So
yeah, it ain't no telling, man. It ain't no telling, and I think that's part of what needs to be considered. You know, for men that are looking at poly situations for the purpose of growing their lineage, the fruit of their loins. Clearly, that wouldn't be the case for me because I'm not no kids, never no more. You know, I'm done with all of that. So
yeah.
But for men that are thinking along those lines, understand that it's not going to be the pie in the sky that you think it is. There's still going to be obstacles with all them kids that are yours, but all them kids don't belong to each of those women. You know, they're separated.
Be jealous of them.
That's Nick Cannon right now. He's got a polyamorous relationship with all of his baby moms.
And everybody's mad at him.
Showing his royal oats. I'll give him that.
He's definitely showing his royal oats. But I was trying to sit here and I still can't remember the name, so I know this is going to sound real ignorant. But what is that group of people who dress like pilgrims and they're in those they're the ones? Huh?
Amish.
Okay, the Amish people. So they might have been onto something with what they were trying to do for their lineage purposes, for financial purposes. That they had a reasoning behind it.
I didn't know they were polygamous. Amish
They're
people.
not. They're not.
They are. They
I
have
don't know enough
multiple
about them to
wives.
say that they are or aren't. I'm just saying I never heard that before.
That's the beauty of the smartphone. We'll find out right now.
Right. Let's find out.
Yeah.
I thought the Amish people were the ones who were having those several
How
wives.
you spell Amish? A-H?
It's
A-M-I-S-H.
Yeah.
They don't believe in that.
You might be talking about.
No, it says no, they don't.
You might be talking about
Talk
the
about
Mormons.
what?
The Mormons.
Yeah, you talking about Mormons for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They say they don't practice polygamy, and they have never done so since their formation as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Amish believe in
then that's not who I'm talking about then. That's not who I'm talking about then.
You're talking about Mormons.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Okay.
They have like camps where that's what's going on. And I think this is part of why polygamy gets a bad rap, because you have bad people trying to practice something that's meant for benefit. You know, like them camps, they got dudes with, you know, umpteen amount of wives, and they're forcing the young ladies to become wives. That you just shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
It becomes more abusive than anything else.
A cult. Yeah, kind of cultish. Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it a cult.
I'm just saying it's condemned in Mormons as well.
It's definitely not a good thing. What'd you say now?
They're saying that polygamy is condemned in Mormon relationships too.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's the feminist movement doing that.
Yeah. Or well, it might be condemned.
They're gonna destroy the whole religion if they know he got more than one bitch.
it might be condemned on record, but we know that's not the case. Yeah.
Yeah, it's condemned by record for sure.
Yeah, but in reality, it's something else going on. Even with the dude David Koresh, that's the type of shit he had going on. He was convincing people, hey, my brother, I need
Right.
to all your
And
wife.
Jim Jones too.
Yeah, and that's bad people trying to use a practice that could have benefit for their own personal gratification. And that's why I was saying what I was talking about earlier, when people are saying, oh, we'll call it poly, but it's really some individualistic shit you got going on. If you want to be sexually free, just say that, because then that gives men the opportunity to say, no, I would never be in a relationship with you. Don't call
Well,
it.
that's what one of the reasons why Malcolm X got away from the Elijah Muhammad, because he found out that he was having relations with multiple women and bearing all these kids with these women
and underage women at that. But yeah,
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 he used his power to an advantage.
yeah, I can see that. You know, there's good and bad in all of it. You know, and I think that really just comes down to the person. Yeah. Okay, hold on. There's some other stuff that we got in here. Let's see what we're talking about. The power struggle amongst women is an underlying issue. We can come together for some things, but when it comes to building a legacy, we can be our own worst enemy. What y'all think about that, ladies? I mean, I have an idea of it, but y'all are closer
There's
to
a
it than
huge
all of the women.
there's a huge power struggle amongst women. I'm not going to say that it is the underlying issue in relationships but women getting along with other women is a big deal. And she's right when she says we can come together for some things. I don't necessarily, but building a legacy, we can be our own worst enemy. I don't really know how to feel about that.
You care to elaborate on that a little bit, Renee? If you could elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, being our.
I mean, if she's talking about we should make better selections of the men that we procreate with, then I could say we're our own worst enemy in that. And like I said, I agree with the power struggle amongst women being an issue. I don't know where it's
Okay, so how many times have you known somebody, or maybe personally experienced somebody you thought was trash person, right? And then you broke up with them, and then they wound up becoming successful later on and down the line anyway.
Right. I've had that happen.
So basically, I think that's what she kind of means when she says building legacies. Women walk out on sometimes guaranteed situations for emotional reasons.
Or because I was thinking that as well, that that's kind of what she meant. That's why I asked what y'all take was on that, because the way I took it was that the being the own worst enemy is that putting emotions ahead of logic, especially when the emotions might be centered around something that isn't really of importance. So that's kind of how I took that. But you know, also when you're talking about walking away from situations for emotional reasons, there's also the problem of, you know, it's easy to say, oh, I want somebody that I can build a legacy with, until you have to grab the figurative hammer and nails and actually do some of the building. That's the part that I think women are their worst enemy. They want the cruise ship, so to speak, but they just want to show up with their bags at the dock and get on and go along with that man. They don't want to actually put in with the helping of the building. You see what I mean? And so for that statement, I think that's what she meant, that sometimes you can be that women can be their own worst enemy.
It's just like you could say, man, I'm going to play for the NFL, but if I never hit the track, never hit the gym, never look at a playbook, what are the odds of that happening?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just what AJ Moore just said. It's much easier to say I want this or that, but won't put in the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what we're seeing widespread amongst a lot of women today, is they want all the glitz and glamour of life, but they don't think that they have to do anything to achieve it.
You know, I wonder how much of that is truth and how much of it is peer pressure, I guess I'd say. You know, like, because you see all the shit that's being said on the internet, people get out and they oh yeah, and they sign on, and I feel along, I go along with this, I believe that, I support this, that, and the other in a group public setting. But in their own quiet time, how much of their thoughts align with the shit that they're saying publicly? That's what I'd be wondering. Like, you couldn't really be that damn foolish. Like, did you agree with this shit? You know, or is it you just agree with it because it's popular? Mm-hmm. I wonder how much of what is being said really comes from the heart of the type of women that are speaking this shit. Because I don't know, it's just hard for me to believe that some of the stupidity that we see on the internet and how many people rally behind it. I wonder what they would say in private.
It's just like we had to argue with all these women in these comments about when Derek Jackson was putting all them posts out, and he was the guru of love and relationships. And niggas like me, my people that know me know how I was talking about Derek Jackson before we ever found out he was cheating.
Because we could see the falseness, and we could see that he was doing he was putting so much effort to dog out other men in an effort to paint himself in a good light.
Right.
And real men notice, like, what is this nigga up to?
Yeah, clearly this nigga, he talking about his damn self. This nigga was
That's
arguing.
why you know about it so well.
And he was talking about dog ass niggas because he was sitting in his mind. He was looking in the mirror talking to his damn self.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out a way to say it where it makes sense, but I'm like, okay, since women, we know that women have problems unifying amongst ourselves, okay, or getting along and working on one accord. We know that men align with the bro code on a lot of levels, right? So if men have that bro code, why are they not settling these situations amongst themselves? Since we know when they break away from each other, they're all going to go have pillow talk with women and manipulate women's minds. So why don't they, use it to their advantage then? How this could be a smoother sailing ship if all the men, since you guys are all on one accord anyway, would disperse that one accord amongst the women.
Who the hell said men are all on one accord?
It just seems like it, because I'm saying when it comes to the bro code, when it comes
There's no bro code. We're way more separated than women.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I agreed, like I said.
I think I see where you're going.
When she said the power struggle amongst women being an issue, I kind of get that, the underlying, because like we can talk and hang out amongst each other, and women, we're down for our sisters and stuff like that. But I know personally, I'm not gonna have a huge clique of women friends. Now, my niece and my daughters, they may have a whole bunch of female friends, but for me, I may not have a whole bunch. But men tend to have longer lasting friendships, more tighter bond. That when they get together, they're discussing things. I wish they were discussing the things that need to be said back to the women. You know what I mean? Or ways to treat the women.
We are doing that though. We bring it to women, they don't
hear it.
But when it gets back to the woman doesn't want to hear it.
Women reject everything we come with. Whatever we say, women reject it.
And what he means by the rejection is there's some sort of counter to it. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And that goes to the heart of what I say all the time, that our insight as men isn't valued and respected, because if it was, you wouldn't question all the things that come out of our mouths when it comes to progress, guidance, and how to move about through life. If it's being questioned, that means it's not being valued. And the reason why it's not being valued is because we aren't being valued. And this is why I laugh when women be like, oh, we just want to be valued in our man's eyes. You get what you give, motherfucker. You get what you give. You know what
I'm
I'm saying?
just trying to bridge the gap. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out.
can't
Like
be
make
bridged
it make sense.
It can't be bridged because women are the one with the most pushback at this point.
I ain't gonna say it can't be bridged. I think we're definitely kind of seeing what some of the obstacles are. And just so you know, though, I can't speak for all men, but men with any sort of self-respect, we do have these kind of conversations with other men, and we do bring those the topics, the key points of those conversations back home. Whether or not it's received is beyond us. But to another point you made about groups of men versus groups of women and how we stick to a bro code. There's a different level of there's consequences for not sticking to the code. And the biggest consequence for a woman not sticking to a code, she's gonna get called up, weed, gonna get pulled out, and her titty might pop out. With men not sticking to code,
At the cemetery,
lives can be lost. So there's so much more at stake, you know, that motivates us to stick into the code.
Peace and war to the panel.
Yeah. What's
like,
going on with you?
Like for instance, like say it was just a skit, I guess, but dude has supposedly like he was having a physical altercation with his woman, and his partner called the police on him and got him took to jail or whatever. Right now, protect women, we get it, but nigga, if you send me to jail, there's gonna be a problem.
It shows that he wasn't never his partner because
Right.
because it should be I love you so much that to protect you from going to jail, I'm gonna have to sock you upside your motherfucking head. That's what a real.
Because I was gonna say, it's
get
funny
you
that
on
you
your neck. Why you call the police?
I don't know, because it seems funny because I've been in a similar situation, and that's specifically what the male told me was that I can't do anything about this, even though I don't agree with this, because I seen niggas get killed before that, and I'm not going to have the latter happen. You know, him going to. So I've had people a man tell me that, like, I don't respect what this man is doing, but I'm not going to interfere. It's not.
I'm talking about in the act of it. He's like, while you getting your ass whooped, he's like, hey, let me just let you know, because we talking about in the act of it, like while it's taking place.
No.
Yeah, like if you ain't willing to stop your brother from taking a disastrous course while he's on that course, he's not your brother.
Because I guess that's the flip side of it. He should have at least done that much and said, hey, stop this, instead of just condoning.
But if you see that he's so switched off to where if you intervene, he turns towards you in a physical manner, then it becomes unapproachable, because the only way to really resolve that is to get physical back. And then after you get physical back, now we're at the point where which one of us is going to go to jail for killing the other one.
Yeah. And which goes right back to what I said, that ain't really your homie anyway, or your brother. Y'all don't have no bond if, you know, you don't respect him enough to see that he's trying to protect you from yourself.
Right.
You know, why are y'all even friends? Why is he even at your house? Right. If you don't think he's qualified to protect you from the disastrous course you might be on, why is he even at your house? Yeah. I don't know.
Right. Good point.
So, okay. It says meaning, and I think she's following up on something else that was talked about.
I think we covered it
with the women. It says meaning in choosing a relationship to stay and build in, regardless if it's poly or monogamy, our emotions can get the best of us instead of using emotional intelligence. If it's poly, aka a royalty structure, we would kill or destroy it based on emotion, regardless of the legacy and the security it builds. If it's monogamy, we do the same thing. I agree with her on that.
That's right there.
I agree with her on that. That's something that we definitely see in relationships of now and of old.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what happens. I need to be validated. I don't give a fuck what gets destroyed.
Even their own kids. You think about how many women keep their kids from their father simply because they don't like him. Not because he's a bad man, not because he's on a fucked up track in life, not because any of that, but they don't like him because he didn't honor some aspect of their relationship. So now they're willing to destroy anything that might have been good from him to their own children in order to validate their emotions, because that's really what that boils down to.
Yeah,
basically, and that happens a lot.
I know about that firsthand.
It does happen a lot.
And I know some women that are like, damn, I wish my kid's dad would pull up. And the women who got it like that tend to be like, oh, I ain't gonna respect this fool. I'm a keep. He can't come see my kids, even though that's what he want to do. Meanwhile, there's somebody else who just wish they had a man with his desire, that was trying to come see their kids.
On the flip side of that, though, because I had this conversation with you guys before too, and I was saying, do guys tell other guys, like, how come you don't see your kid? Now we're not talking about the ones whose kids they can't see because of the mom. What about the kids who are left behind? The dad just don't take care of them, don't pay child support, don't be in their life, and you see their baby mama, and you see he's not in their life, but you still hanging with him. Like,
we not still hanging with him. That's the misconception. We're not still hanging with him. We don't fuck with motherfuckers like that.
Right. And we might catch him in passing. We all might be in the same place. We might even dap him up. But are our lives really connected? No. And we're not going to tell him, hey, man, why don't you see your kid? Because we have already accepted the reality. Fuck how it feels. The logical conclusion is this nigga ain't shit.
Right.
There's nothing I'm going to say to him that's going to change his viewpoint anyway. Why waste my breath?
Yeah. I don't know, because there's still men who don't do none of that don't pay child support, don't see their kids, and they still have friends. I'm glad to hear they ain't hanging with y'all, but I'm just saying it exists.
Of course, they're not going to be unfriended, but like minds seek each other out. So
I get what you're saying.
Let me put it in perspective like this. If I got kids and my kids go to the park and I'm taking my son to the park, or I'm going to my son's baseball game, and here it is, another nigga that got kids the same age as me, but he's not active in their lives, how are we going to find common ground?
Right.
We're not.
Him seeing me being active with my kids is going to be a natural repellent. He's not not want to be around because he's getting a glimpse of everything that he refuses to be.
That's just like in this movie where the kids are all on the baseball team, and the dad tells the son, "You can't be on that team." Da, 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 da. And the reason why he's telling him he can't be on that team because he's actually really wants to be a part of it, but he's not a part of it. And so since he's not a part of it, his son can't be a part of it. But then hopefully seeing this and seeing more that he can in the movie, he eventually becomes a part of it. But what was that movie? With there I go with not remembering shit. But anyway,
say his name. He's named the actor around this motherfucker.
Oh boy from never. Oh God, every time. Anyway, eventually, hopefully, a man sees that he can be a part once he sees how the other man is interacting with his child, and usually that's what happens.
Yeah. Oftentimes, I don't think it's a lack of ability that keeps a man from interacting with his child. It's because he has already failed or refused to interact with his inner child. He don't even know who the fuck he is in order to value himself. So it's impossible for him to see what value he can give to his child. That's the shit that's keeping him away. Okay. I don't know what that sounds, Sav.
You ain't got no sound.
Oh, I don't know why.
Oh, there it goes.
Or maybe all that movement that we seen on screen was delayed. That might have been what
It
it
was
was.
it was delayed. I don't know why my shit is messing up from my phone to the laptop. Both of them is tripping today.
But
Yeah.
you gotta try to sit still through that shit, because if you keep moving it around, you probably won't find that sweet spot.
Well, I went to another part of the house that still was doing the shit. So
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, so inner child bars. Okay, what do y'all think of the what I just said about the inner child? Do you think that that's something that a lot of people are ignoring, or that people are tapping in and just having bullshit conversations with their inner child? Which would you say it is?
It's definitely both. But
You have to, it's important because you got to tap into your inner child, because that's the free you. You know what I mean? Like that was the carefree you. So even if you have, some people are not tapping into their inner child because things happen, you know, and there's a cutoff. And so they don't want to go back to it. But if you really tap into your inner child, we're talking about tapping into the happy part of you that was carefree, that wanted to take chances, that had love, that didn't let life wound them yet. That's the part that you got to tap into, that inner child.
Man. So that inner child would have had the willingness to take the chance of a poly relationship.
and just to say,
I had to, you gave me the alley oop. I had to,
you know what? It wasn't going for that.
Also, the inner child may not have had a father or any male example for that matter to show him where his strengths was. That's why boxing and things of discipline are important for boys, because that's what kind of gives them a way to gauge their abilities. You know what I'm saying? And any type of, like, even academic shit, like if kids were to get involved with academic shit, a math class after school or something like that, oh shit, so I can actually do the same math that this engineer that's getting paid $500,000 a year does. You know what I'm saying? Then they'll start understanding what their capabilities are. You know what I'm saying? But if we just say fuck it and, you know, don't pay attention to what people are capable of, you know, and test them out, so to speak, they'll never figure that shit out.
Yeah. And really the young boys that have the reality that he was just describing, that have gone through the things that, build character for them. And unfortunately, in our community, sometimes that character building rite of passage, it comes from the street. But for those of us that are able to survive that, it still gives us that positive character. You know what I mean? And those are the men that are going to be able to have any sort of leadership skills in the world, in their relationships, or wherever. So just relating that back to the poly conversation, even if it was something that's acceptable, it is not for every man.
No.
Because if you haven't already tackled the challenges and obstacles within yourself, sit your wannabe poly ass down before you ruin somebody's life. You know what I mean?
Period. And let's just say that all across the board,
Yeah.
even in regular relationships with a man and woman, sit your ass down.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. Our society isn't being taught that. You know, that's why you got a lot of people seeking relationships, and they don't necessarily. They're not necessarily capable of, you know, it could be for a multitude of reasons, but like, say personally, somebody is, they might be bipolar, they might be schizophrenic, they might be all these other type of things, and then they get in a relationship with somebody and all that shit starts to surface, and then you got people calling them narcissists and misdiagnosing them, you know what I'm saying? And they might be a person with sheer mental illness, and motherfucker calling them a narcissist. It's not a narcissist, he's fucked up in the head.
Yeah, to me that word narcissist gets overly used, just like misogynist. And 8 times out of 10, the motherfucker spitting it out couldn't define it to save their life.
Right.
It sounded good, you know.
Right. It does, because I mean, I noticed that the word misogynist has been coming around a lot or narcissistic. Like when I used to go on TikTok at first, now my algorithms are different, but before I had set the tone for it, I used to always see stuff about narcissists, and I'm like,
a narcissist basically means you don't give a fuck about nobody but your goddamn self.
I mean, well, in that case, the world is full of them. But I mean,
no,
it's just
that means nobody. That means your kids. That means your boss at work. Hey, go over there and unload this truck over here. Fuck you, boss. That means he don't give a fuck about him either.
Damn.
Yeah, that's real.
Well, then in that case, there must not be a lot. But
there's not a lot. Trust me.
You gotta care about something.
A narcissist don't give a fuck about nobody.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Well.
Yeah.
See, look right here. He's basically saying the same thing. It's, bruh, a narcissist is a deep term to be just throwing on a motherfucker. That's a deep term to just say, hey, these motherfuckers are narcissists. You know what I'm saying?
When really all it is, he don't love her.
Right.
Sometimes it be that simple. You know what I mean?
Wow. He's a narcissist.
He doesn't love you.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times in these relationships, you're only hearing one side. Because when somebody puts that victim card out there, that receives the most attention in a post. If somebody's posting something and it comes off from a victim standpoint, everybody wants to come to victim rescue mode. You know what I'm saying? Everybody jumps into victim rescue mode instead of being like, she could have been fucking she knows in her heart she could have been talking to 5 other niggas for the first 6 months of the relationship, and then she finally got her shit straight, and then finds out he's cheating, and now she's trying to pull the card on him. But what was it for real? You know, like, was you keeping it 100 all the way through? Because just because your shit ain't on display doesn't mean you wasn't doing it.
And that's what I meant earlier when I was saying about the honesty in that's how it was talked about, that poly is geared toward high expectations of honesty. Man, we dealing with people here. I don't believe that shit. You know, people.
Hey, we dealing with the most dishonest right now.
Yeah, and if you don't believe me, just put a secret camera next to it. Pick anybody when they do their taxes. Lying motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like in any given situation, I'm just saying, like, how's the Bible saying, he that's faithful in least is faithful in much? If you will be dishonest over itty bitty shit, you damn sure gonna lie about some big shit.
I always say that. That's my favorite line. If somebody, it's the little tiny lie that you lie for no reason. That's now I know. Oh, okay, you don't lie about that.
Yeah.
However, I would like the record to reflect that I don't necessarily think lying on your taxes is a bad thing. I sure wish I would have done it when I went the other day.
I sure wish I would have did it too.
I should have lied a lot. Okay.
Oh shit.
Me damn too.
You know, but,
I'm gonna do the right thing, and then you seen that motherfucking dollar amount, and you was like, hold up, I should have lied.
Right, okay, and so yeah, because I mean, I never knew that the tax place could have me in tears.
And that's what I mean when I say honesty is situational for most people, because, and here's the reason why. Self-preservation is written into us all. You know, sometimes that means for our physical life. Sometimes it means just the lifestyle that we have. So if a person has a specific lifestyle that's centered around this man or this woman, and they know that lie is going to preserve the lifestyle, they gonna lie. It's that motherfucking simple.
I still fucks with you, but the way you took the doobies out my ashtray made me see you different.
Oh shit. Okay. I think that's kind of what I was getting at. You know what I mean? Like,
preservation, yeah.
Yeah. If in the right situation, you gonna choose self.
Yeah.
As
We
you should.
talked about it. Was it you, Maya, that gave us that analogy about the people on the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Throw his dying ass out of here.
And so let's well, that would be
this motherfucker up.
that would be the topic, but I was gonna say we could engage our viewers with a question such as that, but that sums it up. Everyone has a bit of narcissistic behavior. Understanding the definition is key.
Yeah, most definitely.
What's so funny, sis?
Because it's true. I mean, I could say I'm a narcissist sometimes, but then I'm not. It just all depends on the situation. I know I'm bossy, but I'm sentimental. It just all depends on the situation.
Nah, but you're one of the few people on this planet that I know will go to bat for me and put your life on the line for me. All that, like, you can't say that about everybody you know, but like we know, big sis, boy, don't fuck with her little don't fuck with her younger siblings.
Well, that's true too. I'm glad you guys said that, because I will hurt somebody behind my brothers and sisters. That's for sure.
Likewise.
And vice versa. You already know that.
Yeah.
Wild, look at this gorilla in the background. This shit is for real. You know what I'm saying?
Like when we rode up at the party that one time.
So I'm going to go ahead and pose the question. Are we still on Polly real quick, or can I?
I think we've adequately covered that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the topic that you were talking about is an article that I had read in Life magazine. It was about life and death. And I mean, here's the thing, or excuse me, good and evil is what it was about. Is a person considered evil if they become a murderer by situation? So if you're in a cruise ship, you're on a cruise ship, okay, and the cruise ship begins to sink, you are lucky enough to get into one of the boats on the side. One of the people who's in the boat is cut open and his leg is bleeding, and
you got to get the fuck out.
He's not gonna make it. Are you gonna be able to push this person off of the boat to save the boat from sinking itself? Like, he has to get off the boat.
Yes, he's got to go.
Would you be able to push him off?
Yes, unless it was one of my family.
You can't say that because if it's your family or not, are you pushing them off the boat?
That would be a hard one.
It would be much more difficult, but it's like we all supposed to die because this is gonna hurt, because you know, it's like, okay, so my hurt of watching you die only lasted as long as I lived because I died with you.
Well, and so I think the person who knows that they can't make it should just jump off the boat. Like, don't make me have to.
Remember, that's what I said. If it was me,
right.
Like, man, I love y'all.
Yeah, if it was me, I'd be like, I'm so sorry that it's come to this.
You be faced with this decision.
I'm gonna leave y'all with this fucked up memory, but this has to be done.
Yeah,
it don't make no sense for all of us to die.
Yeah. What he says right here, see you at the crossroads. Energy will double back. And I mean, I just believe that to be true, you know. Energy can't be created and it can't be destroyed. It's coming back. You know, y'all see me again in some form. Are you going to be spiritually into it enough?
I mean, it would be so hard. It would be so hard if the person.
I'm starting to believe that though about energy.
Yeah,
I'm starting to really believe that.
That shit. That's what it is.
Big. Energy. We are all energy. Energy is big.
And I don't want to use the form reincarnation, but I feel like that's how it's gonna go down on some aspect. I just don't want to be born in one of them damn third world countries.
Billy Parsons touched on energy on one of his shows, and everything is energy. Everything in life is energy.
Definitely
through our food, through everything is energy. Relationships, all energy. It's not just lights, it's energy. Energy is is feeling, energy is movement, energy is water, energy is love, energy is everything.
Absolutely. So I don't know, for me, and I know it's easy to say it, but in the situation, I know even without the energy concept, I'm already checking out. Like, y'all already gonna have to lose me. Why add to the situation by making y'all have to finish me off? Let me use my last bit of energy to take that burden off your shoulders.
Yeah, I think so. It just you have to do
LaVon
that.
is crazy.
Hey,
The funny part about that, now that you guys have both mentioned the third world country, one of the other questions on there was, if you were in a third world country and they're at war, okay, and you and your family are hiding in a secret place to make sure that the soldiers don't come and kill you for being there. You have grabbed your baby who is crying.
Yeah, I remember.
That's what I'm saying. And the baby is crying. Shut up. Your own child. The baby doesn't shut up. The soldiers are going to know where you're at, and they're going to come and kill all of you.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to kill my child, man.
Hey, no, on everything though. If in that case, I mean, you got to have a weapon. You might be hiding, but you got to have a weapon. You must have a weapon.
That movie, A Quiet Place. Have you seen? Any of you guys seen A Quiet Place? And they were loading the baby around, and they had it in a box with an oxygen tank on it for that exact reason.
No, I mean, we're laughing, but it's very serious. Somebody's had to make that decision before.
Oh, definitely.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be faced with that decision either, because now, just like I didn't want to, let me take the burden of the fear of death off your shoulders, because I don't want to kill my baby. So now I got to come out here guns blazing. They definitely gonna know where we at, and we definitely all gonna die, but we gonna die together. She gonna die with me, my way, not yours.
Right. By that, exactly. I mean, I'm gonna have to try. I'm gonna have to try something.
Because the baby ain't old enough to understand death anyway. See you in the next path. That boy need help.
That's why we got to be very careful about self-preservation and good and evil. We're blessed.
Well, look at it like this, though, because I'm glad you brought that back in, because I wanted to touch on that when you originally posed the question. I think good and evil is just a concept that is used to describe the different sides of what exists in the duality inside of us as human beings. You know what I mean? We become what is necessary for survival.
Absolutely. And because I was going to say, like in the words of Tupac, I ain't a killer, but don't push me. There's certain situations that can turn me into a killer. Like, I'm not out here hunting people down and trapping people, going and busting in doors and shooting people, but let some shit kick off. I'm not going to just let you kill me. I'm going to be a killer.
And if that's the only way for me to be viewed as good, then hey, say hi to the bad guy.
Let these politicians keep fucking around in Russia and China and Korea rush us and watch.
That's a good possibility too. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, since we kind of tapped on it, gun laws. One thing to the viewers out there, I think everybody should protect themselves, because if you are able to legally get a weapon, go get a weapon. Because we don't know the state of the world. One day we may have to, defend ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. It is a matter of perspective,
it is. It definitely is.
Prime example, where we're at, most people would say, "Oh, it's never okay. It's always bad to kill people."
Okay to kill George Zimmerman.
But here's the thing. It was okay for them people who hijacked in planes and on 9/11 to kill in the name of what they stood for. It wasn't bad in the eyes of the people that were part of their camaraderie. It was good.
Right.
So
Right.
I do think it's perspective based. They did a great thing in the eyes of their comrades.
They died with the highest honor.
Mhm.
That's called like kamikaze. Basically, that's what that's based on.
Mhm.
They take and cut their hair before they leave and cut their nails and all that. That way they have their remains basically, and they go and die the highest honor.
Real talk. Yeah.
Suicidal bombers. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, they died. They're in the highest regard wherever their resting places are at.
They
Mhm.
believe that they will be rewarded 8 wives or 9 wives or something like that in their next life.
Man, so you got like next life. You setting up your poly from you like,
Damn.
hey, I'm just thinking,
He's not only setting
man.
up his poly, he's got his building. You know what I mean? I don't know. Did he leave behind some DNA so they can make the children more children?
Oh shit. You gonna have 8 wives in the next life. He said we think it's evil because we don't love our God like that. That's real shit, man. Them people is like, Allahu Akbar.
Well, that's real shit though.
That is definitely. You know,
We're
because
the
I seen a
opposite.
man
We
pull a car.
praise Jesus for dying for us. And
No,
and
but
we-
I seen a man who pulled his car over and he pulled the rug out and he had, I guess he had to pray at a certain time.
right.
So he got out and I was like, whoa, talk about sticking to the script. he didn't care where he was. He pulled that car in there and got out. I was like, what? To me, it looked crazy. But for him, he was sticking to the code to the deepest fashion.
So we had a homie that came out of prison Muslim. And I remember we was having a barbecue one day in somebody's backyard, but nonetheless, we was having a barbecue. And I looked over and I seen the homie like draping his little rug out along the fence line. Like he had found him a little spot along the fence, and he was like, he dropped down on his knees and got it in, dab smack in the middle of the barbecue. They take that shit serious.
It's not to be played with. It's not to be played with.
Mm-hmm. It's all about the power structure, what is acceptable by society at that time from the perspective of those who call the shots. Yeah. I mean, if we're willing to go along with the power structure becomes the next question, because I definitely agree with that, but are we gonna go along with the power structure? That's the very next thing.
We have a lack of rebellion in the United States.
I agree with you.
We should be more rebellious about some things that are going on.
I agree with you.
Somebody was saying that they were thinking about passing a law that makes it to where all pregnancies have a DNA test, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen another thing. South Carolina is trying to say that anybody who has an abortion gets the death penalty.
I mean, it's kind of murder. It's kind of murder.
I think
that's a stretch, though.
I don't think it's a stretch, but I do think that it should be circumstantial. But I mean, the one thing that we know is people be using various types of birth control, and abortion is one of them. And that's just callous. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can killing? We're gonna get back on the killing. I like the killing energy. Can killing be biblical or spiritually okay? The Battle of Jericho, Moses and the killing of the firstborn, etc. Again, is spiritually or biblically okay? And the way I'm going to answer that is the Bible had through prophecy laid out a process of events that would bring what you call it, damn saying, the Messiah through the line of King David. Okay, so anything that stood in the way of that got murked and got killed. So these killings, although they were being done by followers of the so-called God or whatever, it was being done in line with the self-preservation of his purpose. These weren't just random killings that were being done in the name of God. It was like, well, in order for God's purpose to be carried out, these things would be dirt napped. So it was only okay because it was to preserve the purpose of the shit that God had prophesied, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. That nigga said body for body. Hey, no, okay. So I've said this before. I'm cool with the death penalty, but if you come get one of mine, me and my family elect I can't even get this shit out. We elect the executioner from within our own ranks. We gonna get some joy out of knocking this food down.
Right.
You know,
they do that in other countries.
yeah, you ain't just gonna appoint anybody to avenge us.
The motherfucker with a mask on. It's gonna sit better with him if he knows that he's getting killed by people that he victimized.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna put a different set of fear in
I think
him.
a good comment went up there too. It said, "What powers the power structure is complacency by the people."
Right.
Real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. That's real talk. And yeah, I mean, you know,
motherfuckers go for next.
Real talk.
Basically.
How many when we talk about the death penalty for abortion, how many times are abortions done because, again, my body, my choice? We're basically telling men, I know I have your seed in me, but it's my choice on whether or not I get to kill your kid. I think it's like, okay, you're right. It is your choice. And it's your choice to accept the consequences that come along with it.
So
put it like that because somehow they've left out the part that it's our kid.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
They've casually left that out.
Play conspiracy theorist, but I have to say this, that I read something that said that the reason that all of these Bible Belt states are trying to get rid of abortion is because the number one people having abortions are white women, and it's a population control thing for them to stop allowing abortions. So
yes,
I think there's probably some truth to that. Yeah, I think there's probably some truth to that. You know, I'd have to dig into it.
Me too.
I could stand.
I haven't
but it makes sense.
Right. So I don't think that the mass number of people having abortions are only Black women or women about
Black women had like 40 million abortions in a year, and it's only 40 million Blacks. So in the United
States, that's how you know there's some bullshit in the numbers.
That's bullshit. Yeah.
I mean, that's why. But I believe, because when I think about the states that are red, those are the ones that don't want abortion to take place. You know, a lot of those states are under Republicans, and it's just a way for them to prevent their housewives who are sneaking out while they're at the building. They're over there having affairs and they pregnant and having abortions. It's not what we think it is.
But that makes it wrong too, though, to cover up something else. So I can go out here and cheat, and then I say it's my body, my choice when I cover up my cheating by killing the baby. That's dead wrong.
Okay. There can be no compromise on body autonomy. Slippery slope. We know what happens when we give on. I don't understand what she means by that. Can y'all help me out with that one?
I don't know, but I think maybe we should just
she's talking about the fact that you get pregnant.
Okay.
Basically, there could be no giving in on that because you knew when you fucked that getting pregnant was a possibility.
Right.
I don't think that we should take away a woman's right to do whatever she wants to do. At the end of the day,
we empower the women that are cheating and having abortions to cover up their cheating.
Hold on. But you were going to say a woman's right to do what she wants to do in connection with what?
whether she should terminate a pregnancy or not.
Why should she have that right though?
To terminate a pregnancy, because
Yeah.
she's going to be the one who has to take care of the child. So I mean, so what are you saying? Promote adoption, carry a baby that you're gonna, and then give it to someone else who needs it or wants a child?
But how did she become pregnant? Was she kidnapped and raped, or was she making
No.
love to a man of her choice?
Yeah, she was doing whatever she was doing, and she
No,
became
this
pregnant.
all factors in, because why do what parameters did this baby be born under that, or conceived under, that you think you have a right to end its life?
And I agree with this statement right here, meaning you start telling people what to do with their body, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
And
but
this-
that's
hold on,
It's a
time out.
conversation we should-
Let me-
so maybe we shouldn't drive down the slippery slope.
Let me address this. Let me address this. This is what I mean when I say
Immaculate conception.
women be on some bullshit, because how the fuck is your body of more importance than the human life inside of it? That is a prime example of what my body, my choice.
I thought we just got done talking about self-preservation. So
right.
I mean,
Okay,
so
that's my
if
point.
she chose that she doesn't
No,
want to
no,
be a
hold on,
single
time out,
parent,
time out,
a
time out.
broke
No,
parent,
but
or
this
a
is
parent at all.
the funny
Time out.
thing is though, if you
It's
want
not
this
your
nigga to be
body
caught
that's
up over this baby, you're gonna
baby
keep it
inside.
though. You want a nigga to deal with his consequences for fucking and busting a nut. So we gonna keep this motherfucker and put you through hell, but we gonna abort this motherfucker to keep from going through the same hell we trying to put you through.
It's not even a thought out statement. My body, my choice. Okay. I didn't tell you to do anything with your body. I'm talking about the body that's inside of yours. So you can't wordplay me like that. I'm far too intelligent. Fuck your body. I'm talking about
It's
my
not.
baby
It's not a
that's
wordplay
inside of it.
because it is
It
her
is a
body.
wordplay.
It is her
Because-
body.
Right. And you chose to let me put elements of my body into your body, which created another body. So we are both responsible for the choice of that body.
Okay,
You housing
So
it
if
through
a
the
man
birth.
agrees, if a man agrees that his woman can now go have an abortion, is abortion okay?
Yeah, because they both agreed.
No,
Okay, so then
here's-
that's what we're not. So
Okay.
let's not make
So-
this about men or women. We were just talking about the bill.
I actually
itself.
don't think it's okay for birth control type reasons and some of the reasons why people do it. But like I
That's
said,
all I- and
Okay,
I
but
agree
hold on
too.
though, because you
I
asked
agree
that
with that
question
part
to
too.
two men and you only got an answer from one of them. So before you go off the deep end, can I respond? Hell no,
Go for
it still ain't okay. And the reason
yeah.
being is this: because you said her man, that means y'all deliberately laid down and made irresponsible love, and a baby came out of it. How in the fuck are you talking about killing it now?
Okay, her
it's not
side
okay.
piece, her baby daddy, whether it's her man, whoever's the person who impregnated her, agrees to let her make the decision on what she should do. Should she have that as an option?
I disagree with using abortion as a form of birth control. I made that clear.
It's not, but I'm saying we don't.
What do you
we
call
don't
it
know.
then?
We don't know this-
overall, I don't think it's right. But since women are going to do it anyway and are adamant on doing it, we have to accept what the adamant motherfucker's going to do.
So let me say why I said as a
Before
form of
abortion was,
birth
let
control.
me say one more point, since we're gonna go here. Before abortion was legal, there were people who were going to back alleys and having coat hanger abortions done to get and that's depending on the circumstantial, what the circumstances were. I don't know, but it was a lot of it that was going on, and women were dying from going to have these backyard ass procedures done. So shouldn't they have the right to be able to go into a clean hospital and have this done if they
Okay.
so choose?
Okay,
If
so I got
them
you
and
right
their
here.
other participant.
I got you right here.
I said it already. If you can drink responsibly, you can fuck responsibly. Does that make it clear?
You should. You
Does
should.
that make
You
it clear enough
should.
for
You should.
Because
fuck
according to your
responsibly.
logic, if you apply it across the board, a man should be able to just drink till he drops. And if he goes out on the road and kills somebody as a result of it, it's his body, his choice. It's the same fucking principle. You are killing a child as a result of your reckless action. You're accountable. I don't give a fuck about a woman's body. You created another life
Here's my
through your
so the latter
recklessness.
of the two
You
is
can't
have a
avoid that.
child come into society with a person who may not be able to take care of the child.
Then why are you having unprotected?
The
No.
whys,
We're
the
not
whys
skipping
are
over that.
endless.
We're not
The whys
skipping
are
over that.
endless.
Every year,
though.
women
The
still
The
die
whys
from
are endless. The
Every
whys
year,
are
women
endless.
still die from abortions, though.
We can't
Look
skip
it up.
over that. We can't skip over that.
Every year, women still die from abortions.
Because we're gonna apply all them whys. We're gonna apply all them whys if we flip the gender and subject. Suddenly, well, why were you doing this? Why were you doing that? Who the fuck do women think they are that they're gonna escape accountability?
We're women.
You are the
face it.
gatekeepers of your chastity. If you let a dirtbag nigga put his semen in you that created a baby, your punk ass is responsible. I'm not letting you off the hook. Fuck your body and your choice. There's a child involved.
So you
That's
agree
how
with
I
those-
feel about it.
You agree
I'm
with
adamant
those
about that.
senators, and that's fine. Great. So you agree with them that they should put the death penalty to anybody who has an abortion?
Okay, so when we have these kind of
Yes
conversations,
or no?
No, I'm not going to answer.
This is why it's
I'm going to
important.
answer the question the way I'm going to answer it. When we have these kind of conversations and we say that women are combative and deflective, you just gave a prime example. You're trying to take it back to the death penalty law in South Carolina.
That's how I brought it up.
Explain my
So
position.
that's how I brought it up. That's
I've
where
already
the
thoroughly explained my
conversation
position.
stemmed
You
from that.
moved the
The
goalpost.
conversation stemmed from that.
I've already
That's what I
thoroughly
brought
explained
up.
my position. Women should be held accountable because, okay, what if she doesn't abort the baby? A man should have a choice to say, I don't want shit to do with that kid and its life. That's fair play, right?
I guess in your mind.
Everybody
has the right to
because
their opinion.
it's not about opinion, it's about principle.
I simply added a note that the topic of what I wanted to bring to other people's attention is that I heard that South Carolina was trying to say, and that's just where the whole abortion thing, because I feel like it is a slippery slope. I feel like everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
It's a slippery slope because women ain't trying to hear the truth.
Whatever, I can't have no more kids, so it doesn't affect me either way.
It
doesn't affect me either way.
Okay. The truth is that it's murder. No matter, it doesn't matter how good you try to make yourself feel. In the end of the day, you killed a human being.
Okay.
That's exactly what took place.
Okay.
Here's my thing. If we're talking about the principle of choice, it's my semen, my choice. So I have the choice whether or not to raise that fucking child, and I shouldn't have no child. I shouldn't have no child support. If you can kill, no. Can I finish?
It's 100%
If you
right.
have the right to kill this nigga, I should at least have the right to abandon him. And if you can't see the basis of principle, not emotion, but the aligned principle in that, I don't know what to tell you. If a woman has the right to
kill this motherfucker, but I can't walk out.
It's unfair play, and that's why I'm standing on my square about it.
Fuck how y'all about that too. That shit ain't right.
And I'm gonna stand on mine, women. Don't worry.
Yeah, my body, my choice, man. Your body ain't got shit to do with this.
If that's the case, if that was the case, then your semen would have never got there, or you should.
Oh my God, here we go. And if you didn't open your legs, his semen wouldn't have got there either.
Who's the gatekeepers of sex, men or women?
We just went over this. No, we're not doing that again.
Okay.
The woman is in control of her body, of who she lets in her body. Okay. A man
so who should be accountable for the violation of the
pole at. That's where it should be.
She let him in though. He didn't ram in. She let him in. She let him in the gate.
Right. And I said that she's in charge. Exactly.
So who should be accountable?
In charge of her body, then she gets to be in charge of her body.
We're not talking about in charge. We're talking about accountability. You're focused on the charge and the power and the control. I'm talking about accountability. When women say my body, my choice, that's a power move in order to avoid accountability. And I'm calling that shit out for what it is.
Okay, let's get to the next question.
Wait, we know you're in a box. Hold on. He wants to know what we think about rape or incest, abortion. Okay, then. Yeah, women, check it out.
That's why I said it was circumstantial.
We agree that if a motherfucker rape you, should have an abortion. That's common sense that we agree with.
That's another deflective tactic.
That's common sense. We agree with that.
Because I said earlier, what are the circumstances? Was she kidnapped and raped, or did she lay down and make love with a man of her choosing? So that question was answered in the preface.
So now we're supposed to believe that 98% of the abortions are incest or rape.
and they're not. So
No, that's not what we're saying.
4%. It's like 4%.
We're not
We know
saying
why we're
that.
discussing
We're not
that.
saying We're not saying that.
I know that, but I'm saying in reality, it's like 4% though.
You have nothing to say, sis? You tapped out?
No, it's by choice.
Okay.
And no matter what,
And see,
people say,
if obviously if a woman's gonna die trying to carry a baby to term, then yes, an abortion is necessary. We understand those type of sacrifices. We get that shit off top.
well, no matter what people say, it's
those-
been legal for so long. It's going to be hard to try and not make it legal again.
Those
There's
percentages,
good and there's bad. There's good and there's bad on it. You're killing it.
It's not hard. They're
Child, but sometimes it's needed.
those percentages are so low though. The medical reasons and the rape and the incest, those are the low end of the abortion numbers, the very low end of abortion numbers. So we're talking about all the people who didn't have medical issues, who didn't have rape and incest issues that killed billions of kids. Billions.
Okay.
Those are the ones we're
been
talking about.
Kasabi's been talking at the same time as you. I don't know if her mic is off.
No, that's delayed. All that we see is from what she has already expressed.
Oh.
And again, it goes back to what Diesel was saying though. Like you can't use the smallest percentage of a situation as the reason for you wanting it to be the way it is. Okay, we understand that sexual assault takes place and sometimes babies are born out of that. But that does not account for even 5% of the abortions that take place. So why would you lean on that? That's not the reason why. More times than not, it's a secondary form of birth control. So unless you can explain why you want to be free to use birth control, use abortion for birth control, your argument is null and void. And when I say you, I'm talking about women in general. I want an explanation as to why you feel the freedom to use abortion as birth control.
They shouldn't.
All right.
Because that's the real question we're asking.
Right.
Not
It doesn't have nothing to do with the rape and the incest and the not being able to bring a baby to full term without risking your life. That's not why women are going and having abortions. Those numbers aren't enough of the statistics of all the abortions that are happening for that to be the reason why women are up in arms about it. That's not it.
We said we already know that. That's not the number one reason. I wish I would have never even mentioned the statement myself.
Right, because I mean, this is what we
let them give them the death penalty. It doesn't pertain to me.
So she says, as a woman, if I'm sexually active, she says, as a woman, if I'm sexually active and I'm letting him in my cookie jar and don't want kids, not only am I requiring condoms, I personally will protect myself with birth control. You shouldn't have sex with someone you are not willing to have a baby with, men and women alike.
Definitely.
So that right there.
I never said anything different than that.
That's her being accountable.
Hold on, time out. If you're worried, you just said, well, let them give him the death penalty. If a woman is too stupid to follow this logic that's right here, what good does she serve this earth anyway? Let's just put it like that. Because it's her body, her choice. She chose to die instead of using her fucking brain. Come on, there's a way to avoid the abortion. So why are you fighting so hard to have the right to do it? That's the question I'm still asking. If you know it's avoidable, why do you still want to have the freedom to do it?
And it comes to being a humane society.
After this call, because I got
after a while, it's like how many abortions? So once we get into the trillions in abortions, at what point are we saying, okay, this is kind of inhumane here? At what point are we going to wake up and say that? We just like, fuck it, give them it's their body, their choice. It doesn't matter if trillions of babies die in the process. It's perfectly humane. It's clearly not humane.
Let's stop doing it. Let's stop doing it.
If it's trillions of babies dying, how is it humane?
And so with this one right here, it says that, these, if I can get on it, let me get this one out the way first. It says that these laws are being brought up. These laws that are brought up are trying to make it illegal for all abortions, though. And the key word there is trying. It's no different than when you get charged with a crime and you go into court and the original charge is almost never what you're convicted of. They're using the same tactics, the same legal tactics. They're going to shoot for the moon, and if they miss, at least they'll land amongst the stars. They know goddamn good and well they'll never be able to make it legal for all abortions across this country. That's not going to happen. That's just the effort they're making to try to get the closest to the outcome they actually want.
And like I said, I don't understand how women, because the way they put men through the ringer about kids and make us have to pay child support and all the things that they try to instill in us about the power of carrying a kid and the sacredcy of mother bearing kids and all that. How could they be the same ones talking about, hey, when they get motherfucker gotta go, we gotta go, and shut the fuck up?
I guess, and the thing I look at is like, who is the ones advocating for this? If you have never had an abortion, you don't even have a voice in this conversation, because you don't know the emotions or the mental strain that you go through as a result of agreeing to an abortion with a man. Oh, a man and a woman should be able to agree. Well, some of us actually know what that looks like on the after effect. You understand what I'm saying?
It still feels like real death.
Exactly. And so it just makes more sense to avoid that on the front end. And somebody who doesn't want to avoid it, they want to just be free to be lazy from a sexual standpoint, I'll never respect that. I'll never respect
it. And you don't have to, but I still think that women should have that as a right.
You can't explain to me why, though. I unpack the logic on my end.
I want a right to kill.
I explained it why, but I disagree with what you said. So therefore,
you gave emotional reasons, though. I'm saying logically and principally.
It's not emotional. It's facts.
Okay, it's a fact. It's a fact that a woman.
And I know that I'm going to have to carry a child in my body. It's my body. Yes, I let whoever fuck. Yes, I made a careless decision, but it's
emotion. My mind, me, my mind. That's all I hear. I, me, my mind. That's what women are saying when they say that.
No consideration for the baby or the nigga involved.
Right.
None.
I mean, again, I say it doesn't affect me directly, but I would like to know, and I have beautiful children and you know, I love them all. But if whether it was my son said that he got a girl pregnant and they chose, because I have a son who could get, I'm not talking, it's not emotional because it's not going to affect me personally.
So look at one of your kids. Look at one of your kids right now, and think about if you would have deprived them of what they have now by killing them in an abortion. Just look at them and think that's what you would have took away from this earth if you would have decided to have an abortion. They're too young. They're embryo. They're not nothing. There's none of that. You would have actually killed a human being. That's the facts of it.
And the facts of it is that, and let's be clear, the fact of it is,
I don't understand how that can be downplayed.
No, it's not downplayed. It's just that I know as a mother, some of the struggles that I went through, some of the struggles that I went through, some of that I might not have been ready to actually have children, and I had them anyway, and it was hard for me, and it was hard for them. Yes, everyone turned out okay, but I'm just saying, and again, doesn't affect me personally, but I know what I went through as a mom raising kids and how hard it was. If someone decides that they don't want to make that as their decision and they decide from that moment on, they'll do things differently to protect themselves, I think they should have that right. I'm entitled to my opinion. And
I'm not saying you're not entitled to it.
I don't have to agree. It's going to be minimized as an emotion. It is what it is. I don't have to agree about everything.
You stopped at the emotion is what I'm saying. I'm not minimizing it as an emotion. You confirmed the feeling and left all thought after that, because I asked you to explain on a principle.
Do you feel like I explained it now?
No, you told me why you feel the way you do, but you didn't tell me how you connected the thoughts to the feelings. I told you why I felt the way I did, and I gave you the logic and the principle to connect the two. You didn't just do that.
That or not, that's on you. Okay, whether you comprehend what I just explained, that's
Mhm.
on you. I can't. It's not for me. And
Okay, so stop before you go in on it. Let me explain what I'm saying when I say it doesn't unpack it. Because what I said to you is, why do you feel that a person should have the choice to avoid a logical approach to protected sex before an abortion instead of an
I
abortion?
never once said they should avoid that. But
Okay.
if they
Okay.
did
No,
it,
so stop. I know you didn't say it. I'm telling you how I posed the question. So if your response to me just then was what people go through if they keep a child and this, that, and the other, the only way they arrive at that place is if they avoided it to begin with. So that's what I mean when I said that still didn't answer my question from a logical standpoint, because you only arrived at that if you exercise the choice of avoiding responsibility on the front end.
okay,
So it's not me not comprehending what you're saying.
got
It
it.
didn't answer the question. No, okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's all good. We can move on. If not fighting to have abortions, it's about autonomy. And factually, it's going to happen. So there needs to be ways for it to be done safely. When you remove that ability, you also remove it from those situations you are okay with, i.e., the grape and incest and tubercle pregnancies. Okay, women are driving 11 hours to save their life from a tubercle because all clinics are closed. There are downstream repercussions. This is much more nuanced. It's not black or white. I understand that. I understand that. And I just addressed that. You got charged with attempted murder, and you wound up getting convicted of motherfucking assault with a deadly weapon. This is how the law system works. They're going to shoot for the all because they know that they will finally land at where they want to be. It's never going to be all. So if that's the basis for you saying that women should just be able to do what they want to do, I still can't stand on that, because it's not going to happen anyway.
It's never going to happen.
They're not going to do that. And I mean, unless I'm wrong. I mean, unless we see that the law typically works outside of those realms, that they always get what they're looking for.
It's never going to end because it's been legal for so long, and it is a need because women are going to have them. And as my sister said, it was back alley abortions for a long time, and they were killing women. And white women are having abortions more than people of color, because they don't want it to get in the way of their
so only 50 women a year.
Hold on. Let her finish.
They don't want it to get in the way of their careers or their family, because this, that, and another. That's why they're pushing for abortion to stop, because white women are getting rid of their for Caucasians to continue on instead of they're not. I forgot what I was about to say, but anyway, that's the reason why. But it's still needed. It is, because some people shouldn't have kids, and some people just don't need to bring them into the world. And if that's the way of it not going on, then that's the case.
So I think this one right here. Oh, my bad.
So it says that tubal pregnancy, since that was the reason why women are getting abortions, it says it's very, luckily today in the U.S. is very rare. Less than 50 people dying from tubal pregnancy per year. And that was just last year.
Okay. And so look here, medical abortions aren't a factor, as they will still do them because they are medically necessary. It's a part of the healthcare system. Unless, of course, we've ever seen some political influence in healthcare where they say, well, politically, we no longer have the ability as healthcare professionals to provide optimal healthcare to our patients because politically they have disagreed with our ability to do that. This is why I say, if you just stop long enough to consider what's really being said, you know it's bullshit. There's no way that you can paint healthcare professionals into a place that they are legally bound to watching a person die when they have the ability to stop that death. It's bullshit. It's never gonna happen.
It's all just, as they said, as somebody just said, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all just to cause an uproar about something else down the road that they're trying to pass, or some other money issue that they want. That's all it is.
Really, they're fighting for the rights of these women in other countries that are going through that stuff. It ain't even got nothing to do with over here, because the shit that they're trying to put on the forefront over here isn't actually on the front over here.
Okay. Well.
Okay, so
here goes the rape statistic, the rape statistics on abortion. Since that seemed to be the main reason and the only reason why women have abortions, I had to look it up. So 961,000 abortions took place in the United States in 2021. And 862,000 in 2017. Out of all of those abortions I just named, only 1,000 were rape and incest. 4%. So how is that the main reason when the statistics
that's not even
are so
4.
low?
That's like 0.4.
How is that the main reason to justify having abortions? For it was tubal pregnancy, which was only 50 women dying a year from that, and then it was because of rape and incest, and it was only 1,000 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And you still got 900 and some other thousand abortions that took place that weren't in those statistics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to make sense of that?
Well, I mean, it's like it said in the comments down here, and this is what I was saying earlier. There's an avoidance of responsibility, and when somebody has the balls to stand up and tell women that, they get angry, and I can't be concerned with that, because it still comes down to the reality of what we're talking about. It doesn't matter how you slice the pie, unless it's done for the reasons that you just listed or for medical reasons. It's fucking responsible, and that's the long and short of it. And because
I think our next topic should be maybe each one of us bring to the table some things that we want to tell. I'm going to tell a woman, you guys can tell the men, things that women don't want to say to other women that need to be said. I'm going to pick what I feel is a list of things to say. You think the things that you think men need to hear that nobody is saying, you pick a list and let's drop that. So some of the things that are, like you said, the avoidance of it all, or things that you're going to speak up about, well, direct it to your gender. Let's have a conversation where it's not going to be a disagreement based off of the sexes. I'm going to tell the women what I think that I feel from my experiences or what I see around me that they need to change. You pick a list of what you think, and let's go from there. Because there's things
I
on
know,
both.
and nobody ever said there wasn't. And we talked about this before. In the society that we live in, because everybody agrees that it's a patriarchal society. Would we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so how can a patriarchy be effective if the men, i.e. the patriarchs and that make up the society, are not currently and all the time being checked and redirected on how to continue to grow that patriarchy? We have never, any of us, lived in a world where men aren't being checked about who they aren't and what they're not doing.
Prison is full of men.
Right.
No,
We're not, because the only thing women always revert back to is he's not making any money and he's cheating on me.
No.
Outside of that, what the fuck are y'all really complaining about? Because if
Figure it out and have your
there's
questions ready.
no. If there's more, why is it that this is what y'all always revert to? There's so much more weightier issues. Then how come this is the shit y'all bring up?
Prison full of men. death row full of men. Niggas
Okay.
getting held accountable like a motherfucker.
What does that mean?
If a nigga beat his bitch up tomorrow, he's going to jail.
Here's the thing. And we can do it. But here's the thing. When we talk about the certain mindsets of men and how fucked up the shit men do, which we've done on a multitude of these podcasts, I don't never hear y'all getting up in arms. And that's why you're rolling your eyes, because you don't remember, because it didn't even matter to you when we were checking men. You didn't give a shit. Your emotions charge you to stand up for the entire congregation of women if we decide to check women on a particular podcast, because men have been checked. We was checking men earlier in this podcast saying, we know that man ain't shit if he's not taking care of his kids and this, that, and the other. You didn't have a problem with that, though. You didn't stand up and say, hold on, I think that there's a certain way, because you knew the truth of it. Why does that change when we flip?
The truth of it was all you were talking about was what you two had done.
We said we don't fuck with niggas that ain't.
And that was you guys. That was you two.
And it's most niggas though. It's most niggas.
Mean, I don't know what type of men you think are in this world, but when you see a guy who is a dirtbag and he has friends, that's just a group of dirtbags. Right. You don't see stand-up men supporting that type of behavior. And the whole point I was making is it doesn't matter who it was. The point I was making is when we were dogging out men, I didn't see you get up in arms.
Okay.
So if you're not going to do it about the principle, regardless of the gender, it's going to be hard for us to ever take it seriously, because now it's selective uproar.
Selective, what did Chris Rock say? Selective outrage?
I mean, it's just like, damn, anytime we've said anything that men need to do differently on this show, y'all don't never get sentimental about the shit. As soon as we talk about women, it's a problem. And that right there is like, that's unfair play.
It's not unfair play. If you go back and look at any of the shows, a lot of shows, you guys are continuously saying what women should do. You are continuously
and we also say what men should be doing, right? Just like we did on this Today show. But you weren't.
It's not a balance.
You weren't bothered. You weren't bothered when we were talking about men.
I am now. Are you happy?
You weren't bothered when we were talking about men. Is the point?
Well, I'm bothered now. Are you happy?
So why do women say they want equality? Because amongst men, when men say that they're equals, I can say, hey, nigga, you didn't brush your motherfucking teeth.
It's always going to be 2 against 1. It's even though there's 4 people on the panel, it's 4 people on the panel, but it's always going to be 2 against 1. You guys
I can tell a nigga his breath stank though, and as my equal, he gonna say, damn, I don't like the way that nigga put that shit, but I damn sure didn't brush my motherfucking teeth this morning.
And that's the point I'm making. You know, if it's not laced with truth, I understand the reason for the pushback. But when the statement is truth and the only real contention you have is that it's directed toward women, I'm never going to be sensitive to that, because that is not a logical standpoint. If the statement is true, what's the problem? When you said a nigga wasn't shit, wasn't taking care of his kids, I didn't even come remotely close to pretending to defend that man or that type of man. Right. I don't understand why you're defending a type of woman that wants the freedom to use abortion as birth control, because we already looked at the stats. All the other reasons, they pale in comparison from a number standpoint. So that is not.
I never once brought up the rape, the incest. I never used any of that as an example.
I know.
I never did.
I know.
Okay. So.
But what I'm saying is, if we're not talking about those reasons, what's the reason why you think they should have the right? Because it's her body? Just that simple.
Because she's going to be the primary care provider for someone that she didn't want in the first fucking place.
That's because society refuses.
So therefore, it's going to trickle down. It's going to trickle down into the type of lifestyle that child has and the upbringing that child has.
So let me put this back up here, because I think this is important. Even though it's talking about the government, I see how it ties into the entire conversation from our standpoint. It says, so what's the determining factor that makes the government pass the abortion laws? Is it logic versus emotion? What do y'all think? What's the determining factor for these laws to get passed? Is it going to be logic or emotion?
Logic.
I think it's emotional. I don't see. So I don't know. I don't know.
The government's not passing these laws from an emotional standpoint.
Well, why would they logically care then? Why would they logically care?
Because it was 961,000 abortions in the U.S. last year. That's why they care.
And in the states, like the Bible Belt states, they believe in not abortion, and they're the ones that are pushing a lot of the things that's going on in the world. They have it's an underlying issue. But you know, they say that they don't want condoms in schools. They don't want kids to know about condoms in schools. Well, if they teach them to use condoms, then we wouldn't have to have the reason for abortions.
We get that, but truthfully said, before you even get to that point, you shouldn't be marketing sex to kids anyway. Kids are legal for minors to have sex. Kids don't got no goddamn business discussing it or doing it.
They should know about it.
But they are.
Okay. So fuck it. Kids run this.
So let me ask y'all this, because somebody said it was logic would be the determining factor, and emotion was also mentioned. Can one exist without the other?
No.
Okay. So when we're formulating our viewpoint of this whole situation, we got to understand that there's a circle taking place here of the energy, emotion, and logic. That shit is working together. So we might have an emotion about the topic of abortion, but we have to apply the logic to it. We could have the logic of the abortion, but without any emotion, then that logic is still it's half-ass empty. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's not being birthed from something that's energetic. You cannot have one viewpoint without the other. And that's the reason why I be so much on that, you know, a woman's right to her body, because she's avoiding the logical aspect of the fact that she has created a whole entire another body inside of her. That's why I say that's a purely emotional response. You have to bring the logic into that, because logically, I mean, like if a woman has a baby, we know people say your life ain't about you no more, sweetie. You're a parent now. Does that not apply when she becomes pregnant? It's only once she has the baby that she has to understand that her life is no longer about her. I just don't see that as being a logical approach.
And I think we've had things to say on both sides. Kasabi, get off if you got a problem.
I have a headache. I've had one for 2 hours.
You're just sitting like this. You're irritated. You're not gonna say nothing anyway. All I'm saying here is that we have debated it back and forth. You got some good points. Again, we can agree that we don't agree on this.
No, I'm not agreeing to disagree, because I feel like that's a cop out that people use when they know that they've logically been destroyed in verbal battle. We're not agreeing.
I'm not never gonna get on this show and have a verbal battle with my siblings about some shit that don't affect not near one of us.
It must, if it has such a deep emotional place inside of you. So we have to discuss this.
It's deep emotional. I myself have 3 daughters, so I want them to be able to have the right to choose. That's me. And you don't have
regardless of how they got pregnant, right?
Huh?
You want them to have the right to choose how to clean up a mess they chose to make. That's what you're saying. And you've refused to see it that way. Unless it's from the small percentage.
There's situations where people got blindfolds on. Let me wear mine on this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't have to agree with you on it.
You don't have to, but that's another avoidance of accountability as well. You know, I mean, I'm standing on my square about that, but I'm gonna go ahead and let it go. But it's not in an agreeing to disagree. It's just understanding that the weeds are too high for us to cut through this grass at the moment. Right. But it's not that we agree.
It goes another example of what you just was saying, basically. Preventative care. We do that for any other healthcare shit. Why wouldn't you take preventative care before sex? This would eliminate having to even make that choice. I don't
Agreed.
understand how it's easier to kill the baby than it is to do all the other shit.
Me either.
That's
what I've
fucking
been saying.
crazy.
That's what I've been saying the whole-
People are using birth control. People are using birth control. People are using Plan B. People are using condoms. Some people are even practicing abstinence. Yet still, there's still 900,000 abortions, you said? So come on now, let's just
It's
be
because
realistic.
they don't feel bad about killing kids.
I don't know. I think it's safe to say that topic is one that we're going to struggle to get through because
You know what? For the panel, you know what? I'll do this because this is what women want men to do.
No. I'm not even going to let you concede.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna tap all the way out. I'm gonna bow down to this weak ass shit.
No, we're not doing none of that.
You're right.
We're not doing none of
You're
that.
right.
No,
Go
they're
ahead
not.
and do what the
No, they
fuck
ain't.
you want
No.
to avoid accountability. You're
We're not
right.
giving them that. We're not giving them that because it's our responsibility for
Go
the
ahead.
men. Just like you feel the responsibility to the ladies under you, I feel the responsibility to the men under me. Do not be doing shit that's going to put you in a situation that you would even be faced with the choice of abortion. That's what I'm telling the youngin' underneath me. I don't know why somebody wants to tell them something else.
And I think I know for a fact
that's
as a
more powerful
but that's
than
the first thing
allowing them to have abortions.
I've already
That's
had
the
those
actual way to
conversations.
do it.
Right. And if you
So
fuck
I've
that
already
up,
had those
it's
conversations
on
over and
you.
over and over again.
It's
I've had
on
those
you.
conversations. I've had those conversations.
And if you don't want to listen,
Okay.
hard-headed
Hold
ass
on, time out.
you don't do.
Time out. Because I think you need to understand why I'm saying I didn't say you haven't had those conversations. I'm responding to what you just said a moment ago. And what you said was when you had the opportunity to highlight what was of most importance to you, your statement was, I have 3 daughters and I want them to have the right to have a choice. So I'm not saying you haven't had the other conversation. I'm just simply saying, just like what you want to say to your young people, this what I'm saying to mine.
Since when does fucking
That's
not
it.
lead to pregnancy?
That's it.
Since
It's
when
of
does
more
fucking
importance
not
for me to
lead
say that.
pregnancy, though? This is the whole reason why men and women fuck. I know you guys think it's all for pleasure, but literally it's so we can procreate.
Absolutely.
Right.
It ain't got shit to do with
The
fucking.
pleasure part is a Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, the pleasure part is a Jedi mind trick. Fucking is to make babies.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying. This is what I was saying right here. They're saying promoting abortions is like promoting snitching. Okay.
Now I'm promoting abortion. Wow. I hope it gets me. I hope I get some viewers from it. I just need more followers. I mean,
this is the one right here. We can't fold on holding each other accountable. This is real love, holding each other accountable. And you already highlighted that principle earlier when we were talking about men. You're laughing at it now because it's about women. But when we were talking about men and holding men accountable for not taking care of their kids or whooping a woman's ass in front of us, you understood the importance of men holding men accountable. But how dare men try to hold women accountable, or anybody for that matter? That's literally through your expressions. That is basically what you're saying. As long as that's why I have a problem with it.
As long as women are like that, here's all I'm gonna say. As long as women are like that in our society, there will be no growth. You can't leave stuff like that out and then expect to grow to this excellence and Black excellence and all the stuff we talk about. You'll never reach that excellent status if you don't have the full set of attributes that go with it.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, I just be seeing it. Like,
there's one in the garage.
It says, what right would men give up willingly? One that, I mean, I don't even understand what man is going to fight for a right that they know that if they just focus on their fucking manhood, they'll never have to exercise. If you do shit the right way, you won't have to exercise that right.
They're speaking as if they're totally helpless in the situation.
Right. Come on, man. That's not.
I'm not speaking as if a woman is helpless.
No.
just as a man comes to to have relations with a woman, she should be prepared, and so should he. It shouldn't always be on the man to carry protection. Or if you have relations and you become pregnant, you had a choice in not becoming pregnant unless it was forced. You have to be accountable for yourself.
That's all I was ever saying.
You have to be accountable.
What do you think's going to make the numbers?
And as a young person, they don't know that because it's the conversations are always being pushed on the back burner because kids shouldn't know about this and kids shouldn't know about that. If they're taught early, this is what's going to happen if you don't do this, then we might not have those problems.
So what about this? What if we looked at it like this? Man, if we knew that abortion, outside of it being of the negative circumstances that may likely come about for some people, but if abortion outside of that was something that ruined your life, wouldn't that foster a mindset in people of saying, damn, I now, because my life is at stake, I now have to make the proper choices about who I lay down with, okay, and who I have children with. Don't you think that would benefit the rebuilding of the family unit? I think it would. So this right to a choice to continue to be reckless, I mean, how does that help to rebuild the family unit? That's what I said a minute ago. If we call ourselves activists for the communities, the families that build the communities, how are we standing on our square about something that is only going to continue the destruction of the families and thereby the communities? It's deeper than how we feel. Our feelings are minute when you really unpack it all, unless we only want to be on that self-preservation shit. But this isn't life or death for any of us. So why would we play that card now? Why play the self-preservation card on this topic?
Okay, well, like Benet says, this is a power struggle I was speaking about. As a woman, I can't hold my sister accountable, but we can have brunch and talk about cheating all day long, and that's okay. And I agree with her. They'll hold conferences on this, that, but making someone accountable for their own actions it's not no conference on that.
So there's not all kinds of things.
Here it go right here. Here it go right here. I can always file for bankruptcy. And that's figurative, obviously. That's figure of speech.
It's a cop-out.
I can always file for bankruptcy. That's basically what we teach our daughters. You have to be
accountable, and it's on both sides.
We're teaching our daughters, hey, fuck who you want to fuck. Do what you got to do. If the shit get too heavy, just abort that motherfucker.
Yeah. I just file for sexual or maternal bankruptcy.
Right. Okay. Yep. Do what you got to do. What you want to do. Have your sexual freedom. If shit get too hot and heavy, kill that motherfucker.
because that's what's going to lead us back to stronger families. That sort of individualistic mindset. Or do we really care about the families? Do we care about the community? Or does it just sound good to say that? Because
it must just sound good to say that, because our family's full of young women, and constantly they have to hear this type of rhetoric back and forth over the shows, and it's just irritating to me.
Okay. So I'm gonna respond to that, Deez. Let me respond to that because I'm gonna play it the same way I did before. Me and Deez grew up in a family full of women. And you nor any other women gave a fuck about what we had to hear coming up. How do you think we arrived at the place we're at? Because we've seen that when the coin is flipped, we just have to take shit on the chin. Then when we get to a point where we're like, hey, we got something to say, the same congregation of women that have been chin checking us all our life are like, wait a minute, we don't want to get punched. Fuck what you want.
The congregation of women
don't dish it out if
your
you
whole
can't
life are not the ones who are
Listen, it
congregation
doesn't
of
matter.
women who are
We've
chin
been
checking you
where
your
they
whole
are
life
at, and
are
we
no
took it
longer
on the
around. So
chin.
what are you talking about?
We've been where they're at, and we took it on the chin. We heard the foul shit said about men that didn't even apply to us, and we grew up and took it on the chin, and we dealt with it and became who we became.
Maybe you haven't dealt with
regardless.
it. Maybe you haven't dealt with it, and that's
And
why
thi-
you guys
thi-
are a little
this
bit
is- I
angry
mean-
and abrasive.
So we ain't shit.
I'm being abrasive
I never
because I'm
said
speaking
that.
the truth.
I love you guys to pieces. Like I
That's
said, I
why
love you to
are you
pieces.
taking
But
shots?
you guys
Is
are
it
angry
tequila
and
or is it
abrasive.
rum?
Angry and abrasive on some
Okay.
subjects.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
So you got
I'll take that one.
you got
No,
actual-
I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna show you that I know what I'm talking about. I'll take that into consideration, which is something you have failed to do the entire show. I still win.
Can you hear this? Let me turn it up. Okay.
Why have men in your family, and you got a son, so you should be deeply concerned. You should be deeply concerned about all of these issues for
I
him.
win. I can't stand you.
Hey, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. This is the world we live in. It is going to be a battle of the sexes. Running from that is running from reality. That's what it is.
It's not running from it. I just want to, you know me though. I just want to find an easier, softer way to get the point across because I don't feel like debating. And we talked about this big before
did.
this next show. And I can't, for it to take this turn again, it's kind of troublesome. But these are the tough conversations that need to happen. We know that we're still going to walk away from this and still love each other. We know that we're still going to talk. We know that the show still going to go on because we've agreed to be in it for the long haul. It's just, it is uncomfortable to me on some points. And I do think differently than most of the panel. So but one thing I don't have a problem with is saying, okay, I hear you out. I've said that several times, but that's never enough when I say I hear you.
No, you actually said
it's like
let's
you guys
agree
want
to
me to.
disagree. That's not hearing somebody out.
You also said, I hear everything you're saying and I understand it, but I still feel the way I feel, and said that in the lack of reciprocating the understanding that I just gave you. I'm just saying, like, so what you're saying is no matter how that goes about, I want you to just be soft because it's easier.
I could never expect you guys to be soft. I've known you guys.
What's the opposite of abrasive? What's the opposite of abrasive? You said we're abrasive. What's the fucking opposite? You wanted me to be soft. Don't play the word game.
No,
if you want somebody to be soft,
have to be fucking soft as a fucking
what is the
cotton ball. I'm
opposite
talking
of
about
abrasive?
Your delivery could be a little bit more.
And yours is perfect. Yours is grand. I know. This is what I'm talking about. You're proving my fucking point.
Okay. Well, point proven. Point proven. I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. It was full of.
I hope they did too. I hope they did too. Yeah, because it was riddled with reality.
I want to read this comment real quick while you guys ran off on. She says a man can handle the concept of accountability, and women struggle with that. The sooner women acknowledge this and begin taking accountability for our lives, relationships, and society as a whole will be better. I agree, because what's wrong with it's like if you got a car and it's making some kind of weird ass noise, and you just say, well, fuck it, it needs transmission fluid, and throw some fluid in the transmission fluid, but the noise still going. And then you say, fuck it, well, I'm gonna put some antifreeze in this motherfucker and change the oil, but it's still making the noise. At the end of the day,
the problem.
No, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I could have just took this motherfucker and plugged it up to a diagnostics and seen exactly what was wrong with it, and not wasting my time fucking around with transmission fluid and all that other shit and fix the actual problem.
Well, unfortunately, with this, we don't have a diagnostic to plug into, and
yes, we do.
It's the collective energy. But we have to respect it collectively first, though.
And this is from.
And I mean the energy. I'm not talking about nothing but the energy. We have to respect the energy.
Okay. Well, I think that Lawan says it a good point right here. He said,
I got one posted already. You some cold motherfuckers.
You? Ooh, child. Woo, child.
Women We have to be able to accept correction. Correct is not discipline. It's pointing out something that needs to be changed. And that's basically, even though I use the car, and I know women hate when we use the car analogy, but bottom line, that's what I was saying. That should have to be diagnosed, what the issues are. Fuck how it feels. Fuck all that. Is there a problem or not? Does something need to be changed or not? Would we rather have it to where our kids don't get pregnant and have to go to the abortion center, or say, fuck it, get pregnant and go to the abortion center?
So,
And then nobody died in the process on top of that.
And you want to tell them
You would rather have it that way, right?
They don't have to go there in the first place, is what
Right.
I'm saying.
You would rather have it to where 961,000 kids didn't die.
do you think it's important for young men to view themselves, and I don't mean this in a literal sense, but just the energy behind it, to view themselves as kings, as leaders? Do you think that's important, Mai?
Yeah, they should view themselves as kings.
Okay. So if a king recognizes a problem in his kingdom that could flower out into something that destroys the strength, the connectivity of his kingdom, and it's within his power to nip that in the bud, should he do that regardless of how it may appear to others around him? Or should he say, you know what, I don't want to offend anybody, let this flower out, and then they'll still be mad at me that I didn't stop it?
No, he should say whatever he wants to say. I never told you guys not to. Say whatever you want to say. The bottom line is, because I think that somewhere along this conversation it got sidetracked, hijacked, whatever it got, that mistaken that I said.
I'm not laughing at you. I put up a comment.
At the comment, but when I was trying to read it, it was hold up. Let's listen to the other women should do this comment. No.
How do you grow? How do you?
No, stop. Because we did interrupt her with laughter. You were saying?
I never once said that safe sex shouldn't be trained and taught to the kids. I never once said that. I never once said that. And I know what I teach my own kids, and I know what I say. And I think that it should be, we should talk about that to all people, about protecting their body. I know we've had these conversations in the
Protecting
family.
their body.
So, yeah,
Continue on, please.
unprotected sex. That's what I'm talking about, Mr. Diesel. So the bottom line is, I never once said that. But when I simply said, then you guys went through all the reasoning of what abortion was to you and how it affects everyone and what we should be teaching. Okay. I'm going to do that first. But just like I know we teach kids not to drink and drive. We teach kids not to join gangs. We teach kids, but kids make mistakes. No, the youth shouldn't be running out, sleeping with everybody. Mistakes happen. And if that has to be viewed as a cleanup process, then I'm sorry. I still have to feel the way that I feel about it. And it shouldn't be I'm trying to harm the community because I don't feel on the same level as you guys. It shouldn't be I'm harming the community or I'm not protecting the kingdom because I'm not getting there. Yeah, I'm going to train mine the way that I think they should go. But if something goes abris, I'm not going to hold it against them if they do, and if they have to make a tough decision.
It doesn't matter because the laws will never be fucking passed. Women are going to always be able to kill babies like they want to. It's not even an issue. You guys still got the gun. So you get to still do it.
It is an issue and it is relevant. And in some places, they can't just go and do it.
Okay.
So I don't
know
why you.
I already said. That. The shit we talking about is in Africa some motherfucking where.
It's not in Africa. You looked up every damn thing else. You should have looked that up too.
No. That's not it. That's not even important, though.
And it's not important because I don't want to keep going. I don't want to beat a dead horse. That shit is irritating to me. And one of the comments you guys didn't that you might have laughed at later was the one about you guys got lions and gorillas in your background. And he said, put up a unicorn, sis, and maybe they'll redirect their approach. Okay, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have a huge unicorn next week so that everybody can know that I'm trying to have sunshine and rainbows on my end.
So it goes back to what I said last week, and this is the demonstration of the truth of what I said. That's why I asked you, did you think it was important for young men to view themselves as kings and leaders?
And I said, yes, I do.
Okay, so even in that would also apply to grown men because they came from the young. So we're supposed to be kings and leaders. Yet in all of that, you expect us to say, well, I can't do this because you don't like the way it feels. If I were you, I would do it this way. That goes right back to the comment I made last week about how does the self-proclaimed follower have the formula for leadership? She doesn't have it. She doesn't possess it. She'll never have it. What she does have is something that she's unwilling to utilize. And that's the humility to sit back and allow the king, because you said kingdom, allow the king to do his fucking job. And sometimes his job is to stand up against anyone, even if it's women who have this sort of thing. Anyone that is planting a seed that is going to be detrimental to his fucking kingdom. And if you can't respect that off top, that's not on the fault of the king or quote unquote man. It's on the fault of the person who refuses to give respect for his efforts to maintain his fucking position. I don't understand what the problem is.
Here's the truth right here. They overturned the shit anyway. So it's officially by law, woman's right body, her choice. So there really is no argument to being had. But all I was coming from the aspect of, so we'd rather have 961,000 abortions rather than try to use preventative measures.
That's what it sounds like. Even though they preach the preventative measures. So it's not even really about that. It just sounds that way because the real problem is women are tired of the patriarchy. And when they say my body, my choice, they're speaking to the entire patriarchal society and telling them men don't get to tell me what the fuck to do anymore. But nobody's going to admit to that, even though you can clearly see that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. That's exactly what it's about.
Because if you don't disagree with telling people to take precautions ahead of time, I mean, what's the real argument about
We're
here?
saying we can't avoid 961,000 abortions. We're saying we can't avoid that.
People need to be accountable for their actions, and that's just all it's not even just your. People will say you have to take account of your actions and everything else. Why not on this?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Why not on this? You don't have sex and not think that you're not going to get pregnant, and then when you do, now you can just run and get rid of it. You should have thought about that before you had sex.
And furthermore, if you're Christian, you don't have sex before marriage.
You take precautions. Even someone who can't have kids should still take into account the precautions of not of having sex.
Yeah, because it's still AIDS and a bunch of other shit out there.
Right. I don't know.
We lucky they eradicated AIDS, because whatever that was, they put it in society and then took it out. We're lucky they did that, because if not, we'd all be some dead motherfuckers.
Well, the truth of the matter is it's not taken all the way out, and it's higher in Black women than it is on anything.
Yeah.
And that's because we're not taking in accountability of protecting ourselves or doing things correctly. We have to protect our. That's why the rate is higher in women, Black women.
So I want to make sure I understand something. If we take this approach for the next show, and it's men say something to men and women say something to women, do Do the men have a voice on what women have said to women, and do women have a voice on what men have said to men? Or is it just women talking to women and men talking to men?
No, everybody has their own voice. I don't always agree with
I'm talking about literally for next week, for the program of next week that Maisha suggested. How are we going to approach that?
like responsible adults.
Okay. So the person who suggested it has no comment. Okay. All right. So
However you guys want to handle it. I
guess we're still searching for a
I can
topic
only
for
get
next
shot
week then.
down so much in a day. Like I really can't. After a certain, and I do wear my heart on my sleeve. I ain't got no problem saying it. Like after a certain point, I taps out mentally. And I if I'm wrong for that, I'm wrong for that. I don't got to debate about nothing else. Right. And I wish, trust me, I wish I never would, because I was trying to ease the show into a different direction and close it out on a lighter note. That's why.
But we haven't.
The whole country was up in uproar about this. The conference, what you brought up previously.
Baby death is a lighter note.
Yeah.
What?
That
baby
couldn't
death is a lighter note.
Yeah, that can't be a lighter note because the whole country was just in uproar about the shit.
And we've talked about it for 2 hours now.
Yeah, it's definitely ran
its
course. It's definitely ran its course. Shit, I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes next week. We'll see how it goes next week is what we'll do.
Oh, to be an ongoing debate.
You know, exactly.
But that's the feminine aspect of conversation, though.
It's a debate when we don't say, yes, baby, anything you'd like.
Right. It's a debate when men decide to stand on their point, because women say you don't get to stand on your point. This is gonna forever be an open sword.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's a debate. The feminine aspect of this shit is why it's an ongoing debate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, like Luan says, show up with your top 5 son and bring your burner B. Can't give up my
show up with your top 5, son. Bring your burner B.
Yeah. Exactly. That way.
Give them my strategy. Niggas die every day, B.
Paid in full.
Definitely show up with your burner, okay?
Oh man.
Because baby, give me some shots.
On that note.
Yeah, we can call it, man. That's an end right there. We can call
Thank you for everybody who tuned in to the episode today. We really appreciate you all. As we always say, like, share, feel free to continue to keep joining us and join in the comments. We appreciate y'all.
All right. We'll catch y'all next week.